Chapter 15:18. Bing Kuan had been resurrected, so he had a trump card. He looked over with a dark face and saw a burly man with a long beard, a wide mouth, and white teeth. Chu Yang sensed his cultivation base. He had just condensed the godhead, which was the incipient god realm. In the heavenly spirit world, he was just in the second level of the transcendence realm. Chu Yang was enraged. Bing Kuan noticed Chu Yang's change in mood. He mourned for him for 3 seconds. Its master was in the Sky Academy. In the East Continent it was called a stray dog every day, and it had long been annoyed. Even after leaving the heavenly soul realm, it still couldn't find peace. It even made up for the pig, so it had both a pig and a dog. The wild dog and the black pig. It would be strange if his master didn't have a dark face. If you fart again, I will break your mouth. Chu Yang was so angry that he rolled up his sleeves. Humph! The burly man glanced at Chu Yang and lectured him. Black pig, it's your honor to be called a pig. After all, you and I are from the same race. However, I'm a black demon pig, and you're a black pig from outer space. Obviously, I'm more noble than you. You're a pig. Chu Yang was flabbergasted. His eyes bulged out of their sockets as he scanned the black-faced man from head to toe. He discovered that the black-faced man's body hair was exuberant, and the curly hairs on his face were like steel needles. Chu Yang carefully probed, and the image of a black boar appeared in his mind. Ha! He didn't know why, but he burst out laughing. He held his stomach and laughed. He had met a pig, a black pig. Black pig from outer space, what are you laughing at? The burly man's face was dark, but he was so angry that his nose was crooked. He grunted, "Come here and kowtow to me." Ha! Chu Yang laughed. I just saw an inferior pig. Who's inferior? The burly man was angry. I'm talking about you. Chu Yang pointed at him. You're an inferior black pig. You're the black pig with low self-esteem. The black pig from beyond the heavens used it to show contempt. You accepted it gladly, but you still refuse to admit that you're a black pig with low self-esteem. Heavenly black pig. Chu Yang interrupted him. Look, you're feeling inferior again. Why are you scolding yourself for? Sigh, you're already pitiful enough to be slaughtered and sold on the counter. I didn't expect you, black pig, to make yourself even more miserable. Ha! Black dog from outer space. The dark-faced man also rolled up his sleeves and glared at Chu Yang. A mere grotto heaven realm black dog dares to disrespect this god? If you laugh again, I'll immediately slaughter you and eat dog meat. Wild dog. Black dog. Chu Yang's face darkened. He poked with his finger, and his charm was like that of a parrot's wing. Hey! He roared loudly, scaring the dark-faced man. If I, Chu Zuokyu, can't beat you to death, you black pig, then my name is Le Zuokyu. Hey! The dark-faced man also roared. Inferior black dog from beyond the heavens, do you want to compete with me in louder voices? You've found the wrong person. This will only make you feel even more inferior. Giving him a taste of his own medicine. Chu Yang had a whole new level of respect for Black Pig. He actually felt inferior. What are you glaring at? The dark-faced man said disdainfully. You don't even dare to admit that you're a black dog. If you don't feel inferior, what do you mean? Your dog bark just now scared me, but when it comes to louder voices, even the 9-headed lion is no match for me. Do you think I'll admit defeat to a black dog like you? What a joke. He talked a lot like a machine gun, stroking his beautiful beard from time to time, showing a look of a child who couldn't be taught. Boom. Chu Yang waited for him to finish his self-praise. He moved and stomped on the ground. Suddenly, a wave of dust rose into the sky, and a huge crater appeared on the ground. Chapter 15:19. Hey, black dog from the outer world, you have a bad temper. The black-faced man smiled and scratched his head. If I punch you with my finger, will there be no dog meat to eat today? "Master, don't punch the pig," the Ice Koan suddenly said in a hurry. Its voice came directly from Chu Yang's body. Chu Yang was about to teach the pig a lesson. He was slightly stunned, but he didn't intend to kill the pig with one punch. Bang! When the fist touched the finger, the black-faced man suddenly felt a great force. He was shocked and shouted, "Roar of the heavenly origin! Roar!" That finger actually let out a huge explosion. The surging sound wave seemed to have substance. It was incomparably black, and it was like a huge strand of pig hair as it charged towards Chu Yang. Buzz! Buzz! Chu Yang's fist felt a great resistance. So, he once again exerted his strength and pushed forward. The void buzzed, and the black-faced man's finger burst into pieces with a "kacha" sound. His flesh and blood turned into fine powder, and the broken bones of his entire arm shot out in all directions with a "chi-chi" sound. Bang! The black-faced man was also sent flying. He looked at Chu Yang in astonishment. "Black dog from the outer world, what's wrong with you? However, you are only at the Tao Insight realm. How can you be so terrifying?" The black pig was not afraid. He looked at Chu Yang curiously like a baby, eager to know the answer. Chu Yang had to hand it to him. He was more amusing than him, but his fists were not amusing. Swish! Chu Yang flew over. Before he even arrived, the black-faced man didn't even bother to stand up. Instead, he knelt down on the ground and said in a flattering manner, "A big pig doesn't hold a grudge against a small pig. We are relatives by marriage, ah." Before the black pig finished his words, he was sent flying by Chu Yang. Blood flowed out. "We are not relatives by marriage. We are from the same clan. Our ancestors are the same. Big pig, why do you care about every little thing? A pig's mouth can't spit out ivory," so Chu Yang sent him flying with a punch. "Family member, I used the wrong words just now, please don't be angry." The dark-faced man was walking further and further down the road of courting death. "We were born of the same pig, why are you in such a hurry to kill each other?" Chu Yang was infuriated. He directly beat the dark-faced man into a pig's head. This was a real pig's head. Moreover, it was a pig's head with a bloody nose and a swollen face. The dark-faced man was beaten into his original form. "Family, don't hit my face." He was still in the mood to joke. "Not bad." Bang! With another punch, Chu Yang beat the black demon boar until it sank into the ground. Immediately, the black demon boar played dead. He really can take a beating. Chu Yang was slightly surprised. In the end, he exploded with nearly 600,000 dragon power. If they were in the heavenly soul world, even a 5th-level transcendence realm expert would be killed. This black demon boar was at most at 2nd level of incipient god realm, but it was still alive. Kuan, why did you leave a pig behind?" Chu Yang didn't know what the Ice Kuan liked about this pig. With a swoosh, the Ice Kuan flew out of Chu Yang's paradise. Looking at the black demon boar in the pit, he almost drooled. "Haha, master, after the black demon boar condenses the godhead and reaches incipient god realm, its flesh and blood will change. It's the most delicious food in the god world. Holy God!" As soon as the black demon boar in the pit saw the Ice Kuan, it turned into a silly pig. Its entire body shivered as if it was about to be slaughtered. Its body was convulsing as if it was about to die. It had met a holy god of the Kuan Pung clan. It was already unlucky enough to meet an outrageous black boar from outer space. Now it had met a holy god. This time, the black boar even had the thought of dying. Lucky my ass. It was like meeting a butcher when it went out. "Boo-hoo!" it cried out loud. It was very sad and miserable. It swallowed back the word supreme delicacy that had reached Chu Yang's throat. "This is a top-grade pig. It was arrogant a moment ago, but now it's crying." Chu Yang had seen a lot of diehards and fearful people. However, this was the first time he saw a pig crying so miserably. He couldn't get used to it. Chapter 15:20. Woo woo. The black demon pig cried more and more miserably, "Saint God, please spare my life. I'm an 80-year-old pig and a 2-year-old pig. Please let me go as if I'm a fart, so as not to dirty your hands." Chu Yang was all too familiar with this. Wasn't this the classic begging for mercy in his previous life? Damn pigs, can you come up with something new? Bing Kun completely ignored the black demon pig and continued to explain to Chu Yang, "Master, before the black demon pig and white demon pig reached the grotto heaven realm, the taste of their meat was just so. But after reaching the grotto heaven realm, the black demon pig and white demon pig became incomparably delicious. God-level black demon pig and white demon pig are even rarer. In addition, it was said that the black demon pig and white demon pig couldn't evolve to the God realm. A certain supreme being who loved delicious food nurtured them, which allowed them to break through to the God realm. Even this saint has only heard of the God-level black demon pig's meat and never had the chance to taste it. This is great." Chu Yang's eyes lit up. According to Bing Kun, the black demon pig in front of him was simply a tribute. Just imagining it made him drool. He immediately grabbed the black demon boar and pulled it out. The moment he saw the miserable state of the black demon boar, he immediately regretted it and said with a frown, "I hit it too hard. What if it spoils my pork? I heard that letting it die beautifully is the best way to make the meat taste the best." Then, he glared at Bing Kun. "Little Kun, are you lacking something? This is such an important matter, why didn't you tell me earlier? How would I know the importance of pork if I only kept a pig as a subordinate?" Bing Kun laughed awkwardly. "Master, aren't you very resentful? How can you not vent? After all, this ingredient made up for your pig and dog." Woo woo. The black demon pig, who had been crying miserably, saw that the saint god in its eyes was reprimanded by a black pig from outer space. It immediately stopped crying and looked at this scene in amazement. The pig's worldview completely collapsed. How could this be? How could this be? A saint god was reprimanded by a mere grotto heaven realm? The saint god was the saint of the heavenly spirit world. Thus, Zhu Zhu began to doubt his pig life. "In our family, humans don't eat human flesh, and pigs don't eat pork. This is basic ethics, basic morality." The black demon pig said, "For the sake of ethics, morality, and your conscience, I suggest you restrain yourself. I'll beat you to death." Chu Yang's face darkened again. This pig was still calling him a black pig from beyond the heavens at this time. Using his hand as a knife, he cut off a palm-sized chunk of flesh from his body. The flesh abruptly transformed, becoming nearly 50 cubic meters in size. This black boar was definitely huge in its original form. "Main family, what you are doing is wrong. Be careful of the wrath of the heavens." The black demon boar shrieked. "Damned pig, call me that again." Chu Yang's face darkened. That damn pig was at death's door, yet it didn't fight with all its might. Instead, it called him family. "Little Saint God, I was wrong, okay?" The black demon pig finally woke up and changed its way of begging for mercy. Then, it cried miserably, "I'm so pitiful. Mother, I've let you down. I made you send me off as a white-haired pig. Little treasure, little baby, little baby, little baby, little baby, little baby." The black demon pig said a string of words, then cried even louder, "Father has let you all down. Father didn't raise you all into pigs, and now I'm going to die in the pig world. Father has let you all down." This pig's naming skills are really high. Just the word baby alone can come up with so many names. Chapter 15:21. With that, the Ice Kun entered Chu Yang's interspatial ring, took out pots and pans, and began to process the piece of meat that Chu Yang had cut off. Feeling that it was not enough, it cut off a few more pieces from the black demon pig. Then, it went on to eat the pig's trotters and cut off one of its arms and legs. The black demon pig gladly accepted it and used its cultivation base to grow another arm and leg. The part that was cut off was also restored, but its aura was obviously much weaker. Saint Deity, you're right. I'll do it again and it'll be worse than before. My Xiaobao, my Xiaobei. Just as it started to cry, Chu Yang could not bear it any longer. Did it really think that Chu Yang would not dare to kill a pig? Chu Yang knocked it down with a punch. Say something else. Chu Yang instructed. It's best if you can give me a reason to spare you. He wanted to get a better understanding of the situation here from the black demon boar. Little Saint Deity, I have a wife who's as beautiful as a flower. She's even more beautiful than Little Moon Goddess. The black demon pig hugged Chu Yang's leg. Little Saint Deity, do you want me to let her serve you? Little Moon Goddess? What the fuck? Chu Yang immediately forgot about Little Moon Goddess. He thought about it for a moment and could not stand this pig anymore. He kicked it away. The black demon pig immediately saw the reason. It was a pig and so was its wife. Therefore, the Little Saint Deity did not like it. It crawled back and said, Little Saint Deity, I can be your mount. Ride a pig. Chu Yang heard this and his eyes became so wide that they could kill a pig. He could not bear it and kicked it away again. What did I do wrong? The black demon pig was stunned for a while, could not figure out the reason and crawled back. Little Saint Deity, the Sin Palace has appeared and will open soon. I think this news is very important. Sin Palace? Chu Yang looked at the ice koan. The ice koan continued to eat while saying, Master, this pig is telling the truth. If there is such a coincidence, Master must not miss it. The time ratio between the Sin Hall and the outside world is 1:30 at best, and 1:5 at worst. It was set up by the sovereign in order to allow the beasts in the beast pool to increase their strength faster. The ice koan paused for a moment before continuing. Once the Sin Hall opens, it means that the God world is about to attack the heavenly soul world. This was a sign that the God realm was going to attack the heavenly soul realm. Chu Yang furrowed his brows. That should be the case. Wasn't the purpose of increasing the beast's cultivation to make it easier to attack the heavenly spirit world? If a war between the two worlds broke out, he probably wouldn't be able to escape from such a huge whirlpool. I have to make some preparations. I have to increase my strength as soon as possible. Otherwise, I'll really be a fish on the chopping block when the time comes. Chu Yang's heart sank slightly, but he quickly shook it off. He looked at the black demon boar and sneered, as a supreme delicacy, do you think you can escape the fate of becoming food with just this piece of news? I, old Zhu, am really stupid. The black demon boar wasn't scared at all. It patted its head in joy. Little Saint God, I know the location of a divine realm white demon boar. As for this obedient pig, I suggest that Little Saint God doesn't kill the goose that lays the golden eggs and drain the pond to catch all the fish. That's a good reason. Not only did I not lose out, I even made a profit. Chu Yang immediately laughed. I'll raise you. If you want to eat, just cut a piece. Hee, I can have it. You pig, you're really stupid. Why didn't you say so earlier? The ice koan laughed loudly. The white demon boar and the black demon boar are both top-notch delicacies, but their tastes are completely different. I didn't expect that I would be able to eat both black demon boar and white demon boar. Following Master is really a blessing. Chapter 1522. Chu Yang kicked him, finding this pig very interesting. He smiled and said, Why aren't you talking to me? Why aren't you being cheap? Cheap? My meat is delicious. Cheap? My meat is chewy. The black demon pig said proudly. What a strong reason. Chu Yang gave him a thumbs up. You are a pig with dreams. Thank you, Little Saint God, for your praise. The black demon pig climbed up the pole. Little Saint God, how about I only supply you with my pork? This shows my character. Chu Yang stroked his chin. I can accept such a proposal. The black demon pig smiled crookedly, which made Chu Yang feel that something was wrong, but he ignored it. At this time, he finally asked the question in his heart, "How can you be so sure that I am from the heavenly spirit realm? Little Saint God, isn't it simple?" The black demon pig pointed at Chu Yang's clothes. "You are from the Sky Academy, aren't you a dog?" Chu Yang immediately understood. This space-time passage was connected to the Sky Academy, and the black demon pig and the other fierce beast's opponents were the Sky Academy. How could they not recognize their enemy? However, although the black demon pig answered his question, he also made a big mistake. "You are a dog, you are a dog." Bang bang bang! Chu Yang beat the black demon pig until he couldn't even make a sound. Amidst the fragrance of meat, the black demon pig said, "Little Saint God, if you beat a pig like this, the pork will not taste good." Chu Yang ignored him and gave him a name. "Black demon pig, you will be called Zhu Beiji from now on. Remember, the first order of pork tastes bad, the second order of pork tastes bad. 8 orders in total." Zhu Beiji was miserable, and he felt like he had nothing left to live for, especially when he saw Chu Yang and the Ice Kuan eating heartily. If there wasn't enough, he would have to cut a few more pieces of meat from his body. After eating and drinking to his heart's content, Chu Yang began to walk towards the magma sea. It seemed very close, but it was actually very far away. In the beginning, there was still a forest along the way, but soon, the vegetation became sparse. After walking for a while, they found that the ground was boiling hot. Not long after, they saw white smoke rising from the ground in some places. The thick smell of sulfur poured into their nose, and it was pungent and unpleasant. All of a sudden, Chu Yang felt as though he was walking towards hell. Even someone at the 9th level of the Chi Soul realm would not be able to withstand such a high temperature. He looked into the distance and saw that everything was foggy. He clearly knew that it was all white smoke, and the smell of smoke was even more pungent. The void there seemed to be burning, and at the center of the deepest part, he could faintly see a huge palace floating there. "Is that Sin Hall?" He immediately flew towards the Sin Hall at top speed. It had to be said that this sea of lava was indeed dangerous. It was impossible to cross it without being in the Transcendence realm, but it was not difficult for Chu Yang. The section he was in was the last section. The last section and the first section were not the most dangerous, and they were not the main test for the ferocious beast. The most dangerous section was where Sin Hall was located, which was the middle section. Chu Yang was extremely fast. There were many shadows of beasts and humans at Sin Hall, and they were densely packed about 1,000 feet away from Sin Hall. However, it was very quiet, and there were only sporadic noises, but not the roars of beasts. This area was now completely filled with lava. Although the pungent smell of sulfur was very strong, Chu Yang could still smell the faint scent of blood. This made him realize that he was close to his destination, and that he could see the gathering of living beings. Trouble and danger were coming at any time. Especially since he came from the last section, it was very strange. After all, he came from the last section. Chapter 15:23. Of course, Chu Yang wasn't afraid of the pressure from the crowd. He had felt the pressure from the crowd before, so this was nothing to him. Under the gazes of the crowd, Shi Yan strode forward. The savage beasts entered his eyes one after another. Although the savage beasts had shrunk their bodies, they were still huge. The first one that entered his eyes was a savage beast that looked like a lion. It had a pair of purple eyes, purple scales, and a horn on its head. Its realm was around the 1st or 2nd level of the mid-god realm, which was equivalent to the 1st or 2nd level of the Nirvana realm in the heavenly spirit world. In the realms of the gods' world, each big realm was divided into 9 small realms. This was a one-horned beast with a purple eye. It was said that it was extremely powerful, and its purple eye was a kind of strange pupil. Next to it was a scarlet wolf with blood-red fur and snow-white teeth like sharp swords. Its entire body was shrouded in light, and 2 clusters of flames were dancing in its eyes. It was an incipient god-realm demonic beast. However, what shocked him the most were the mammoths, the winged western dragons, the treants, the mountain giants, and even the beastmen in his memory. In a trance, Chu Yang felt like he had entered a game world. He smiled bitterly in his heart. Am I confused? This feeling is too strange. The god's world was very different from what he had imagined. Finally, Chu Yang's eyes focused on a golden figure. It was a young man around 17 or 18 years old. His entire body was enveloped in golden flames. He had a pair of yellow wings that looked like they were made of divine gold. When they flashed, a gust of wind blew and 10,000 lightning bolts covered the sky. Although he wasn't very old, he was already at 9th level of the mid-god realm. The aura emitted from this young man was extremely terrifying. Within 10 zhang around him, except for a few young men who followed him, there was no one else. Even though many savage beasts and humans were far away from him, they were still trembling in front of this young man. Their legs felt like jelly as they trembled in fear. Master, this is the Wind Thunder God tribe. They are experts in controlling fire and lightning. Chu Yang was paying attention to this young man. The Ice Koan sent him a message from his paradise. At this moment, Zhu Beiji was also inside Chu Yang's heavenly grotto. Otherwise, the appearance of a delicacy that even the Ice Koan coveted would cause an uproar. After Chu Yang arrived, many gazes shifted away from him and landed on a black lotus in the middle of the sea of lava. The black lotus had 6 petals, and there were mysterious patterns on them. There was a figure sitting cross-legged in the center of the flower. It didn't seem to be in this space, but in another space. That silhouette was also not a human. Instead, it was the silhouette of a beast. Master, this is a lotus formed by the void beast's cultivation after it died. It is one of the void lotuses. It contains the profound mysteries of the void and can be used to assist in the cultivation of space arts. Bing Koan immediately introduced the lotus to Chu Yang. After he heard about it, he immediately knew why there were so many fierce beasts and people gathered here. It was not just because of Sin Hall. The sea of lava in front of them was like a burning sea. It was red and translucent. From time to time, there would be flames shooting up into the sky. Within the sea of lava, there were corpses of huge fierce beasts that were being melted and swallowed by the lava. There were also fragments of precious weapons and human limbs. Obviously, there were already people who tried to pluck the void lotuses or cross the sea of lava to reach Sin Hall. However, without exception, all of them failed. Even mid-god realm cultivators who are comparable to Nirvana realm cultivators have stopped. It seems like this place is not as simple as it seems. Chapter 1524. 9th Level of Grotto Heaven Realm. If you can reach this place, you must be something. You go and check it out. No one had said anything before. However, after confirming Chu Yang's cultivation base, the one-horned purple-eyed beast pointed at Chu Yang and asked him to go forward. Chu Yang didn't mind and just focused on observing the situation. If the beast wasn't at the Nirvana realm, he would have killed it with one slap. He could kill a 7th level of Transcendence realm expert with his physical strength. In other words, a 7th level of incipient god realm expert could resist his attack. If he wanted to kill a 1st or 2nd level of medium god realm expert, it wouldn't take him much effort. However, he had to turn over a new leaf for the beast. Did you hear that? 9th level of Grotto Heaven Realm is talking about you. Go to the Void Lotus and check it out. The Red Wolf also buzzed. Both humans and beasts thought that Chu Yang was only at the 9th level of Grotto Heaven Realm. Although he had miraculously reached this place, it was his limit. That was why they thought that he could be bullied. Are you deaf? If you don't want to die, go and check it out. Otherwise, I will eat you. If you didn't have some skills, I would have torn you apart in just a few minutes. You're only at the 9th level of Grotto Heaven Realm. How dare you be so presumptuous? Another ferocious beast and a few people shouted orders to Chu Yang. What's so strange about this lava sea? Chu Yang didn't care. He sensed the lava sea but couldn't see anything. When he was about to ask the Ice Kuan, swoosh! A sword chi came from his right and was about to pierce through his head. However, it purposely made some noise so that Chu Yang could notice it and avoid it. In the end, he had to move forward and explore the way for them. Chu Yang calmly dodged it. His cold eyes looked over. As soon as the one-horned purple-eyed beast took action, the other beasts behind him shouted. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Hurry up and try. Otherwise, you will die even more miserably. You dare to pretend to be deaf and dumb. You don't want to live anymore. We gave you face, but you don't want it. You think you're something? They were all ruthlessly forcing Chu Yang to be cannon fodder, to explore the path for them to die. 1. Chu Yang's eyes were like a tiger's, and his gaze was extremely cold. Suddenly, his aura erupted. With just this glare, everyone who had just spoken, whether they were humans or ferocious beasts, shuddered. I've tolerated you people for a long time. You know that I can reach this far at the Grotto Heaven Realm, yet you still dare to be impudent with me. You're simply courting death. As he spoke, his entire body disappeared into the void. In the next moment, the ferocious beasts present suddenly realized that Chu Yang had already appeared above the single-horned purple eye and smashed down with his fist. Be careful! On your head! Boom! The one-horned purple-eyed beast was scared out of its wit. It tried to block with all its might, but it was too late. Chu Yang's fist smashed it into pieces, and its entire body was stuffed into the lava. Humph! How dare such trash act arrogantly in front of me? Rumble! Rumbling sounds of thunder erupted from Chu Yang's body. His entire body was wrapped in lightning as he unleashed a massacre. His attacks were ruthless as he slaughtered his way over. His power was unparalleled, and no one could resist him. The ferocious beasts present might be very strong, but unfortunately, they had encountered Chu Yang. His assassination skills were able to assassinate opponents of a higher realm. In a situation where no one knew his trump card, coupled with his space-time technique, it was not too difficult for him to kill them. In addition, in this place, he did not need to hide his strength at all. He could use all his means. It would be difficult for them to survive. You, who the hell are you? Chapter 1525. Soon, no one had the time to call out anymore. Suddenly, a large fish emerged from the lava. It churned and caught the surviving scarlet wolf and the other ferocious beasts, as well as the crowd, completely submerged in the lava. Koan Pung Art! Ah! Screams resounded in the air. Chu Yang had no sympathy for these things. They actually dared to force him to his death, so don't blame him for killing them. No, I don't want to die. I was wrong, please let me go. Roar! Amidst the screams, the crimson wolf let out a panicked roar. Its body erupted with red flames as its hair stood on end. It struggled with all its might, but it was useless. It was thrown towards the void lotus by Chu Yang. Rumble! The magma immediately soared to the sky and turned into a giant beast. It bit the crimson wolf into 2 pieces. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The crimson wolf's flesh was burned and oil oozed out. It quickly emitted a charred smell as it fell into the magma. Everything calmed down after that. Meanwhile, the crimson wolf's corpse was just like what Chu Yang saw earlier. It floated on top of the magma and was slowly being devoured. In just a moment there was no sound. Who would have thought that Chu Yang would be so terrifying? Master, the magma around the void lotus has the remnant soul of a void beast. The Ice Kuan made a sound. Chu Yang understood. He moved again, and beheaded the ominous beast that had just said that it wanted to eat him. Then, he tidied it up. He took out a big pot in front of everyone, and began to steam it. The beasts were shaken to the core, especially after seeing that Chu Yang's technique was not unfamiliar. It was as if this ferocious guy often did this kind of thing. Among the humans, many felt their teeth ache after seeing this. Who was this ferocious master? How come they had never heard of him before? After a while, the smell of meat assailed their nostrils. Chu Yang cheerfully smiled at the humans and beasts present and said, "The taste is very good, do you all want to try?" No one dared to answer. After such a deterrence, only a fool would dare to provoke him again. How awe-inspiring, hee. When this voice rang out, the entire place became even more deathly silent. Everyone's gazes immediately looked over. Astonishingly, it was the young man with a pair of wind and thunder wings on his back. The young man beside him walked towards Chu Yang with a smile. With a bang, a pair of wind and lightning wings unfurled behind the young man. One wing formed a hurricane while the other was accompanied by lightning. Lightning snakes danced and crackled. "Now that you're done showing off, isn't it my turn to show off?" He spoke in an incomparably mocking tone as he looked at Chu Yang arrogantly. Chu Yang didn't say anything. He just looked at the young man from the Wind Thunder Divine clan and thought to himself, "How dare you provoke me?" He sneered in his heart. The young man flapped his wings and appeared right in front of Chu Yang. "Ninth level grotto heaven. You're a native of this place, right?" Chu Yang did not reply, but he understood what the other party meant. "Does it mean that he didn't deny it?" The young man sneered. "You don't even have the ability to walk up the Atonement Heavenly Road. How capable can you be?" After a pause, he sneered. "I've made myself clear. Now I'll ask for your help. Go down and pluck the Void Lotus for me. Do you have any objections?" The Atonement Heavenly Road was a heavenly road that led from the bottom of the Beast Abyss to the surface. In the Beast Abyss, regardless of whether it was a human or a beast, as long as they could walk up the heavenly road and leave the Beast Abyss in the end, all the sins on their body would dissipate and they would no longer be sinners. This was the hope that the Divine Realm gave to the Beast Abyss. At the same time, it was also to select the supreme geniuses of the Beast Abyss. The Wind Thunder Divine clan came down from above, but wasn't he too conceited and arrogant? "You're not from the Beast Abyss?" "That's right." The young man's eyes flashed with arrogance. "Is it that great to be outside of the Beast Abyss?" Chu Yang laughed. "What do you mean? You're not going?" The young man was enraged. He flapped his wings, causing wind and thunder to blow. The magma below undulated and formed raging waves. "I also think that I'm great. Go, pluck the Void Lotus for me." Chu Yang pointed at the other party and ordered. "You're courting death." The young man was furious and was about to attack. "What? My words are not effective?" Chapter 15:26. What's wrong? You don't listen to me? The young man clenched his teeth so hard that they were about to shatter. His eyes were about to spit fire. He was so angry that he laughed. "A mere 9th level grotto heaven sinful beast dares to order me around in the Beast Abyss? I'll make sure you never reincarnate." Rumble! Lightning exploded and a ball of lightning shot out from his lower abdomen. Instantly, the ball of lightning was released and wrapped around him. The sizzling sound made him look like a god of thunder. The strike was like a lightning tribulation descending with the might of the heavens. It was as if the heavens wanted to punish Chu Yang. Heavenly might. Chu Yang narrowed his eyes. The heavenly soul world's soul amalgamation realm was the same. Once the primordial spirit was formed in the God's world and merged with the heavens, it would have the same effect. Clearly, the young man from the Wind Thunder God race wanted to use his cultivation to suppress Huang Xiaolong. However, he met Chu Yang. Before Chu Yang opened his 11th grotto heaven, Chu Yang was already able to control the heavens and earth. He even misjudged Chu Yang's cultivation level. As a result, he could only nurse a grievance. 1. Chu Yang used his grotto heaven. He stretched out his hand and covered the young man. Control the heavens and earth. Instantly, the space around the young man froze. Although he tried his best to resist, he couldn't move at all. He looked at Chu Yang in disbelief. Suddenly, the surroundings became silent. Naturally, it was possible for the grotto heaven to seal the space. However, it was too unbelievable for a lower cultivation level to seal a higher cultivation level. Regardless of whether it was the God's world or the heavenly soul world, the young man from the Wind Thunder Divine clan couldn't help but look at Chu Yang in surprise. He didn't expect Chu Yang to be so amazing, but it was just a glance. Go! Chu Yang controlled him and ordered, go and pick the Void Lotus for me. Chu Yang wouldn't be the least bit lenient when it came to giving him a taste of his own medicine. Sin beast, you want to die? You actually dare to humiliate me in front of my master? The young man roared furiously. After suffering such a crushing defeat, all of his previous arrogance had turned into humiliation. Be good, go and pick the herbs. Children shouldn't worry about adult matters. In your dreams. Your servant really doesn't have the slightest insight. Chi. Chu Yang shot out strings from his hands, and the young man was instantly controlled like a puppet to pluck the Void Lotus. The young man's face turned ashen. Then, he panicked. Until this moment, his master didn't have the slightest intention of moving. If he didn't find him embarrassing, then he had completely given up on him. He stepped out of the safe zone and grabbed towards the Void Lotus. Even though he had some thoughts, he would either destroy the void or devour it. Only, he had overestimated himself. He had only walked halfway when the magma surged out and turned into a strange beast, directly swallowing him up. He was dragged into the magma and died instantly. The dark red was quickly obliterated by the red magma. Swish! At this moment, a lightning beam was extremely fast. It tore through the void like lightning and went straight for Chu Yang's vital point on his back. The crackling lightning released was extremely shocking. 1. The void behind Chu Yang was imprisoned, and the beam of light was also fixed there. It was an arrow wrapped in thunder and lightning, and there was a formation on it. The arrowhead was shiny and sharp, and it gave off an astonishing aura of sharpness, as if it could pierce through everything. However, such sharpness was completely covered by the lightning. Only after sensing it carefully did one realize that there was a power like the cutting of wind on the arrowhead. Beside the young man from the Wind God race, another servant made a move again. Why didn't they make a move just now? Chu Yang didn't know their intentions. Since they weren't afraid of him, why did they not help him? Chapter 15:27. To deal with a sin beast like you don't even need my young master to make a move. You're not worthy. How savage! Chu Yang removed the arrow, took out the desolate demon bow, knocked an arrow, and shot it back. Its speed was many times faster than before. The sky rumbled loudly. The light beam formed by the arrow turned into a perfectly straight lightning pillar. Boom! It was as if a heavenly pillar had fallen onto the ground. Suddenly, a loud sound rang out. Although the servant tried to defend himself, he was completely pierced through. The arrow directly pierced through his body, sending him flying for more than 100 feet before finally coming to a stop. You're just a mere sin beast, yet you actually injured me. You've committed a great sin. The servant was heavily injured and coughed out blood continuously. However, he was extremely angry and humiliated. It was as if he was trying to kill a bee but was stung by the bee. He was incomparably arrogant. Even though he was heavily injured, he still didn't wake up. He looked down on Chu Yang and felt extremely humiliated. Ridiculous. Chu Yang couldn't be bothered to pay attention to him. He was always on guard against that youth from the Wind Thunder Divine race. At the same time, he was also considering whether he could pluck the Void Lotus. The red light on the magma sea was like ripples. The Void Lotus floated there, shrouded in mist and multicolored light. It was mysterious and unfathomable. Damn it! Sin Beast, you actually dare to look down on me like this? Shio! A silver light beam shot over again. This time, it was even more powerful than the previous one. Thunder and sonic booms rang out, filling the sky with lightning radiance. Chu Yang raised his eyebrows and dodged. He took out the god's arrow he obtained from the desolate demon prince. The arrow was made of divine bone. Whether it was the desolate demon bow, the god's arrow, or the devil's arrow, not only were they not affected, they were even more shocking. He wasn't sure of their power and rarely used them. However, he wanted to give it a try now. Boom! This servant was very strong. After his arrow missed again, he realized that he couldn't do anything to Chu Yang. He spread his wings and flew over. The pair of wind and lightning wings were like two butcher's knives. The wind was cutting and the lightning radiance was blazing. Chu Yang calmly shot an arrow. He used the light soul formed by the Light Sovereign's 7 souls. When he pulled the bow, it was as if he was receiving endless light into his body. He instantly became as bright as the sun. The arrow shot out like an aurora. Chi. Facing that beam of light, the servant felt as if he were facing a group of gods, including the King of Gods. His soul was filled with fear, and he was unable to defend himself. He was pierced by the arrow, and with a bang, white flames erupted from his body as if he were being purified by the power of light. The servant only managed to utter a single word before he was instantly incinerated into nothingness. Both his body and soul were destroyed like a piece of trash being incinerated. Everyone shivered and quickly retreated. When they saw the arrow of God being retrieved by Chu Yang, their eyes trembled. They felt a supreme aura, an aura that forced them to almost kneel down. However, the young man from the Wind Thunder Celestial clan didn't move, nor did he react. It was as if he hadn't seen anything at all. Perhaps he was afraid of Chu Yang, so he pretended not to see anything. The others did not understand, and neither did Chu Yang. He directly went to pluck the Void Lotus. The Void Lotus contained the rules of the Void, as well as fragments of the great Tao of the Void. If these were very similar to what Chu Yang knew now, then it would be very beneficial to him. The greatest danger was the remnant soul of the Void Beast. Chu Yang was very cautious. He had observed and sensed for a long time, and he was confident that he could deal with it easily. He directly walked over, and the magma immediately surged up and drowned him. During this process, a beast's roar pierced through the void and blasted into his consciousness, wanting to devour his soul. As expected, he didn't panic, and to be cautious, he used the demon soul and held the reincarnation gourd to collect the void beast's remnant soul. He easily suppressed the void beast's remnant soul and then proceeded to pluck the Void Lotus. Chapter 1528. You did well. Hand over the Void Lotus. At this time, the Wind Thunder Divine Clan's youth looked at Chu Yang with eyes as sharp as swords. He seemed to be explaining, but also speaking casually. Being able to kill 2 of my servants means that you are qualified for me to speak to you. In fact, you did succeed in plucking the Void Lotus, so the Sin Hall will open soon. The Void Lotus was the key to opening the Sin Hall. Chu Yang understood, but he did not say anything. Godlike logic. What could he say to a lunatic? Rumble. Just as the Wind Thunder Divine Clan's youth said, the Sin Hall opened soon after the Void Lotus was plucked. Endless magma soared into the sky like 100,000 volcanoes erupting at the same time. The scene was shocking. Both humans and beasts were forced to retreat. However, no one was afraid. Instead, they were excited. The Sin Hall was built by the Sovereign for us to comprehend the Tao and cultivate, so that we can increase our strength and attack the heavenly spirit realm. If we can cultivate for a few days, it will be equivalent to several months of hard work. Many people breathed heavily. Every time the Sin Hall opened, it would lead to fierce battles. A few days inside was equivalent to several months of hard work outside. Everyone longed for it. Moreover, if they were lucky, they might even obtain the sovereign's inheritance, which was extremely powerful. The magma had just calmed down when people rushed toward the Sin Hall madly. Chu Yang also needed time to stabilize his cultivation. A place like the Sin Hall was the most suitable, but he did not move. Ah! Miserable screams sounded. There were too many people, and they rushed over like moths to a flame. The place was chaotic and the battle was fierce. Danger soon arrived. Those who successfully broke through the encirclement and rushed toward the Sin Hall's open door fell into the magma and were completely swallowed up. Near the Sin Hall, one could not fly. In an instant, the battle stopped and people shouted, "There is a formation in the Sin Hall. This is a test set by the sovereign. Only those who pass the test can enter the Sin Hall. Not everyone can enter. Only those with talent can enter." How could the sovereign waste his energy on trash? They all understood, and the tense atmosphere instantly eased up. Everyone was trying to determine what level of talent they needed to enter. If you want to enter Sin Hall, not only do you need to have a strong enough fleshly body, only then will you be able to withstand the gravitational force and not fall down and die. The primordial spirit also needs to be strong enough. If it can't withstand the mental attack, it will die. After everyone confirmed the difficulty of the test, their faces became incomparably ugly. The conditions were too harsh. There were some who were unwilling to give up and tried to charge through, but without exception, they all fell in and were swallowed up by the magma. Don't even think about it. The rules of Sin Hall have already been changed. Now, it's only prepared for God's chosen. Moreover, the time ratio is 1 to 100. All of you can scram now. God's chosen one. Boom. Everyone in this part of the world instantly exploded. God's chosen? Are they only for God's chosen? If it's only for the chosen, why didn't you inform us beforehand? The rules have already changed. Isn't this just sending us to our deaths? Chu Yang had some doubts about this so-called God's chosen. Without needing him to open his mouth, the Ice Kuan in the heavenly abode had already explained for him, "Master, God's chosen is actually very simple. They are people who are born with divine technique. Divine techniques are divine abilities. Those who are born with divine techniques are people who already possess divine abilities the moment they are born." Chu Yang couldn't help but squint his eyes. He hadn't reached that level yet. Before the Destiny twins awakened, he had been lost in the crowd. "Sin Beast, hand over the Void Lotus, then kill yourself. Don't dirty my hands." Chapter 1529. The young man from the Wind Thunder Celestial tribe was like this. He was definitely a God's chosen one. He was born with divine powers and was at the peak of the medium celestial stage, which was equivalent to the 9th level of the Nirvana stage. With such cultivation and strength, Chu Yang should not be a match for him. However, if he unleashed all of his divine powers and used the space-time technique, it would not be impossible for him to kill someone at the 9th level of the Nirvana stage. However, he would definitely not be able to fight him head-on. He could only use his skills to win. This was probably the peak of his combat strength. However, Chu Yang was not worried at all. If there was no other way, he would just let the Ice Kuan kill this so-called God's chosen one. Swoosh! Chu Yang was not interested in this kind of lunatic. His time was too precious. If possible, he was too lazy to fight. Especially when the rules of Sin Hall had changed. It was 1 to 100. In other words, 1 day outside was equivalent to 3 months inside. If he fought outside for a while, a few days would have passed in Sin Hall. How could he waste time? Chu Yang charged toward Sin Hall. As for whether he could enter Sin Hall, the answer was clear. If he could not, who could? Although he was not born with divine powers, there were not many people like him. He was definitely not inferior to a god's chosen one. Sin beast, I asked you to hand over the void lotus. How dare you ignore me? The young man from the Wind Thunder Celestial tribe looked coldly at Chu Yang. His voice was filled with coldness. Once he was enraged, everyone present immediately fell silent out of fear. Chu Yang barked like a dog and rushed into the examination area. He immediately felt that the gravity here had suddenly increased. He was afraid that it was 50 times or even 100 times. He was not used to the change in gravity and his body fell down. However, he quickly stabilized himself. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Invisibly, a series of tyrannical mental attacks flew over. It was extremely simple. It was just a sword, a saber, a spear, and a spear. They were about to rush into his spiritual world and severely injure his soul. Returning to his natural state, Chu Yang immediately felt like a soldier on the battlefield. It was as if he was facing the attacks of countless soldiers. Countless weapons were slashing down on him, and he was facing 10,000 people alone. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At first, Chu Yang wanted to resist, but with a thought, he immediately tried to switch the martial path system. In an instant, the heavenly spirit world's martial Dao system became dominant while the myriad god world's martial Dao system became invisible. Two heavenly barriers appeared amidst the buzzing sounds. The heavenly barrier of an 8th grade array master. The heavenly barrier of a 9th grade array master. Sure enough, it's just as I thought. My soul power had almost reached the level of life and death realm before, and now, it has soared again. Coupled with the fact that I've successfully placed my soul in the two worlds, my comprehension of the world is also sufficient. Thus, the formation breakthrough is just a matter of time. Chu Yang was overjoyed, but he was even more surprised. The comprehension of heaven and earth he had obtained from placing his soul into the two worlds was not much, but he had unexpectedly broken through two realms in succession. After breaking through to the 9th grade, he could even deal with life and death experts. Haha, I want to see how terrifying the test of the myriad god world's ruler is. Can I break through two heavenly barriers? He laughed in his heart and allowed the spiritual weapons to attack his spiritual world. The two heavenly barriers were like two cities, allowing him to fully focus on the test of his fleshly body. In Chu Yang's view, this test of soul power required him to reach the nirvana realm, so he did not care. Chapter 1530. Clang, clang, clang. The storm of spiritual weapons bombarded the second barrier. It was as if they were stabbing or cutting a piece of metal. Clanging sounds could be heard, but they were unable to break through. That's fine too. I want to see just how much of a freak the nuclear energy test is. Chu Yang was confident that there was no pressure at all. He ignored the mental attack and dealt with the abnormal gravity. He did not rely on his powerful physical body. Instead, he used the profound of earth. When he was in the coiling dragon town, he had comprehended the gravity power Upanishad. However, it had been a long time since he had studied and performed it. After a long time of accumulation and improvement of his realm, his comprehension flooded out like a flood breaking the dam. At this moment, an earthy yellow sphere appeared in his body. Corresponding to the astonishing gravity, it twisted at an extremely fast speed, attempting to synchronize with the gravity here and thus control the gravity here. The sinful beast isn't dead yet. It didn't destroy my void lotus. It's worth it for me to dirty my hands. Rumble. Thunder rumbled and the wind howled. The thunder seemed to be the thunder and lightning of the firmament, while the winds seemed to be the astral winds of the 9 heavens. Amidst the disdainful voice, a golden figure shrouded in endless lightning appeared. A pair of wind and lightning wings flapped fiercely behind him. The wind wings actually cut open the void, while the lightning wings erupted with tens of thousands of lightning, causing the world to suddenly brighten up. Whoosh! In the blink of an eye, he was right in front of Chu Yang. Sin beast die. The young man from the Wind Thunder celestial race didn't take the risk and didn't enter the examination area. He raised his hand and a 300 zhang long thunderbolt appeared out of nowhere. With a loud boom, the entire area was shaken. The expressions of all the creatures present changed. As expected of a god's chosen one, his aura was too powerful, simply too terrifying. Chu Yang did not withdraw from the test, nor did he turn around to block it. He only used his 11th heavenly grotto heaven, causing his entire body to glow. He was like a giant white hole, treating it as a lightning tribulation. He allowed it to land on his body and devour the power of lightning. The result was self-evident. Chu Yang's entire body erupted with lightning and his body became crystalline. In an instant, he had devoured all the lightning. However, he was still a little surprised. He had underestimated this attack, but this Wind Thunder God tribe's god's chosen one was very powerful, and this lightning was also very frightening. After the heavenly abode collapsed, the remaining lightning power had almost exceeded his limit. My lightning tribulation is at the soul fusion realm. The lightning tribulation 2 levels above that is the nirvana realm. I used to be able to withstand it. Now that my strength has increased, it should be easy for me to block it. Chu Yang couldn't help but turn around and look at this young man. His golden hair casually draped over his shoulders, and his eyes were incomparably intimidating. He was beautiful but also demonic. Sin Beast, I am very surprised. You are actually able to reach this step. Interesting. The young man said softly. Chu Yang felt the other party's shocking strength and didn't want to fight with him. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to kill the other party even if he used all of his means, and he would need the Ice Koan to take action. He didn't want this to happen. Once the Ice Koan appeared, this trip would be completely different. Furthermore, he had comprehended the gravitational field set up by the Sovereign Lord. Strands of the natural law of Earth appeared in his perception, and the earthen yellow sphere inside of him began to twist and distort. It was about to synchronize with the gravitational field. Sin Beast, are you trying to lure me into the test zone? The young man from the Wind Thunder God tribe laughed coldly. Stop dreaming. I won't be so careless as to ignore the Sovereign Lord's test because of a single Sin Beast like you. I'm not that stupid. He took out a purplish-green longbow. With a loud bang, he pulled the bowstring to its fullest and shot out an arrow formed by the power of wind and thunder. The sound of rolling thunder was breathtaking, and it was sharp and oppressive. Everyone's body trembled violently. They were all shocked. This arrow was more like a star. It rumbled as if it fell from the heavens, rumbling and rumbling. Its aura was too terrifying. Chapter 1531. If he did not fight back, he would definitely be shot. The other party knew that he was already having a hard time dealing with the test and could not divert his attention to fight back. If he was disturbed, he would definitely die. You think you can bully me because I am in a dilemma? Don't you know that your attack is also restricted? Chu Yang sneered. Although he said that, if it were not for him, he would be in big trouble. He waved his hands and used his great pinnacle art to form a yin-yang vortex. A huge suction force appeared and acted on the long arrow, changing its direction immediately. Rumble! The long arrow fell into the magma, causing the magma to soar into the sky. Thunder and lightning wreaked havoc, and in an instant, endless lightning spread out from the magma, forming a small tornado, stirring up the magma. However, it disappeared in an instant, but it was already shocking enough. So shocking! So powerful! People were shocked, but they did not know if they were talking about Chu Yang or the Wind Thunder Divine Tribe's youth. Sin Beast, how dare you disrespect me? The Wind Thunder Divine Tribe's youth's golden hair fluttered, and his eyes suddenly turned cold. He continuously drew his bow and shot arrows. Wind and thunder arrows pierced through the sky and pierced towards Chu Yang. Every arrow was aimed at Chu Yang's vital points, such as his heart, throat, and temples. Gotcha! Chu Yang had already broken the gravity here and synchronized with it. When he heard that the heavenly barrier of a grade 9 array master had broken, he was shocked. However, he was about to walk out of the test area, so he immediately relaxed. He turned around and sneered. Then, he changed the gravity and increased his speed to the extreme. He left behind an afterimage as he charged into the Sin Hall. Boom! 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 The wind and thunder arrows all shot into the lava. Thunder rumbled, and the lava surged like a huge wave. When the Wind Thunder Divine Tribe's youth saw that Chu Yang had passed the test, he was shocked and could not help but become anxious. He continuously shot out arrows. Suddenly, deafening sounds like the beating of heavenly drums rang out. All the divine arrows bombarded the Sin Hall, but they were all useless. They could not harm the Sin Hall at all. Sin Beast, do you think you can leave? He madly chased after it. He was already prepared to face the test, but the gravity was beyond his imagination. He was caught off guard and fell into the magma with a boom. He screamed miserably. Just as he was about to be swallowed by the magma, a rune appeared on his body, and he disappeared into thin air. The rune exploded, and the young man from the Wind Thunder Godly clan appeared outside the testing area. Death Substitution Talisman. Everyone present was shocked. They were shocked by the Death Substitution Talisman, and even more shocked by the fact that even a God's chosen one couldn't pass the test. How is this possible? How can a Sin Beast change the gravity here? He couldn't believe it. He knew about the gravity beforehand, and he had no problem shooting the arrow just now. But when he rushed in, everything changed. That could only mean that the Sin Beast had changed the gravity of the examination area. However, how was this possible? This was a trial zone set up by the hegemon. Faced with the crowd's gazes, he suddenly felt his face burning. Before this, he had acted so high and mighty and looked down on the sinful beast. However, the sinful beast had passed the test and he had not. How would the crowd react? Wouldn't he become a laughingstock? Sin Beast, you actually changed the gravity and destroyed my Death Substitution Talisman. I, Feng Xing Leiju, will not forgive you. At this moment, everyone present finally knew his name. As for his explanation, he reckoned that not many people would believe it. How could a Sin Beast change the settings of the hegemon? If you can't, then you can't. If you lose face, then you lose face. What was there to hide? What was there to be hypocritical about? Who didn't know that you were worse than a Sin Beast? As expected. Chapter 1532. Feng Xinglei, Humph. Chu Yang coldly snorted. Feng Xinglei wanted to kill him, so how could he let him off so easily? The Sin Hall was very dark and very quiet. At this moment, only his voice could be heard. After that, he threw the Wind Thunder out of his mind. He wanted to calm down and feel the changes after the array was broken through. However, he still couldn't feel anything. As expected, the heaven and earth are different. The array breakthroughs in the two worlds are also different. The heavenly barrier that I displayed just now was not complete. It was not strong enough, so it was easily broken through. Is this a good or bad thing? Chu Yang rubbed his chin and pondered. If I return to the heavenly spirit world, I won't be able to feel the enlightenment I gained when I broke through. This time, I really went for wool and came home shorn. Chu Yang was depressed. The Sin Palace's test was not that ridiculous. Even if he wanted to force his way through, there would be no problems. Since it has come to this, there's no point in thinking about it. I'll just forget about it. Da. Chu Yang's footsteps quickly sounded in the Sin Palace. The Sin Palace was very big and spacious. It was as if it was a dead land. It was as if countless years had passed and no one had set foot in it. Standing in the middle of it was as if he was alone in a silent world. He walked forward and did not need to explore. Although the place was filled with the aura of time, there was nothing but small huts. Before the Sin Palace was changed, the ratio of time was different. It seems that in different huts, the ratio of time flow is different. Not long after, Chu Yang arrived at the deepest part of the Sin Palace. In the center, there was a glowing area. There was nothing else. Sensing it slightly, he immediately felt that it was very different. The glowing area was like a surging river, while the rest of the area was like a dead lake. Master, if you sit there, the ratio of time will change. A ratio of 1 to 100, this is not small. It was indeed not small. Chu Yang thought about how one day of his was equivalent to 3 months of other people's time. He could not help but laugh, sweeping away his previous unhappiness. Then, he looked at the light region and said, Kuan, is there any way to destroy this place? Bing Kuan naturally knew what Chu Yang was planning. After all, his master was from the heavenly soul world. He didn't want his enemy to become stronger and come to deal with him. Master, as long as you take away the time rule within it, it will be done. Temporal precepts. Chu Yang's eyes lit up. His reincarnation divine ability was considered to be related to the domain of time. If he obtained this time law, wouldn't he explode? However, his excitement soon disappeared. Time was too difficult to comprehend. Even if he had obtained the secrets of the Kuan, it was still too difficult to comprehend. Even though he had the godly demon martial spirit, it was still very tiring. Comprehending the secrets of space was already enough for him. Moreover, even though the time rule law seemed to be grand and powerful, to the current him, a superficial understanding of time was of little use. However, if Master were to seize the laws of time here, I'm afraid that you would incur the wrath of the sovereign who set this up. Chu Yang could naturally understand this. What he was concerned about was, Kuan, can I escape? Chapter 1533. Moreover, with Master's martial spirit, you can hide even better. Even if he's a ruler, he won't be able to find you from such a far distance, let alone lock onto you. It's still dangerous, right? Of course. Then let's do it. Chu Yang suddenly became excited. Stealing the exclusive property of a big shot was very exciting. Then, he laughed evilly. I can do the same with the rules of Earth in the test area. Ha! The Ice Kuan was sweating. His master liked to do this. After Chu Yang understood everything, he made up his mind to sweep the Sin Hall again. Still, he got nothing. After he entered the light area, he couldn't stop muttering, what happened to the agreement? If I'm lucky, I can get some bullshit inheritance. Now I can't even get a dog hair. The rulers of the gods' world are really stingy. However, he calmed down quickly. He didn't know how many days he could stay here. After the Sin Hall was changed, the Ice Kuan didn't know the exact time. In the past, 1 month was 3,000 days. Then, he could cultivate here for more than 8 years. It was unbelievable just thinking about it. Chu Yang's cultivation speed was fast. If he had 8 years more than the others, who could be his opponent after he got out? He made a simple order. Step by step, he had to comprehend the martial path of the gods' world again. Then, everything in the gods' world would be complete. Next, he had to reach 9th level of incipient god realm. Then, he had to cultivate the limitless body. To reach incipient god realm, he had to condense the godhead. He had metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind, lightning, darkness, light, space, time, and so on. There were 11 elements in his body. If he wanted to condense the godhead, he had to comprehend a certain rule of each element to have a chance. Just thinking about it made his scalp tingle and his head explode. He couldn't imagine how much work it would be. Not to mention 8 years, even 50 or 100 years wouldn't be enough. Similarly, his Transcendence Realm cultivation base was the same. If he couldn't figure out everything, how could he condense the Godhead? From the very beginning, Chu Yang had suffered a blow. He finally understood why so many people would only cultivate a few of them at most, and would definitely not be greedy. Furthermore, there was no one like him who could cultivate all 11 of them. If he didn't seek death, he wouldn't have died. In that case, it was almost as if he couldn't break through. There was something wrong with his train of thought. As soon as the Ice Koan spoke, he realized that it was possible to form a single type of godhood and Dharma idol. Naturally, this was not perfect, and the 11 were completely separated out. Condensing all 11 elements into a single point, condensing the divine spark and magical projection, this was the most perfect situation, something that no one had been able to accomplish since ancient times. Chu Yang was greedy and insatiable. He was also unwilling. Therefore, in the end, when Bing Kuan said that there was hope, he was overjoyed and deeply remembered this place, the starting ground. After that, he lowered his cultivation base to the lowest level possible and began to comprehend his own cultivation base in the God's world. It was different from the last time. This time, he wasn't unconscious. He was awake and he was combing through the cultivation base of the God's world. It took Chu Yang 2 years to finish the refining realm, Qi refining realm, nascent realm, and violet palace realm. Chapter 1534. This was also a process of reflection, a process of tempering one's state of mind. Therefore, he simply immersed himself in cultivation. Every day seemed to be insufficient for Chu Yang. Within the dusky Sin Hall, Chu Yang's entire body was glowing. Although it wasn't blazing, it was very peaceful. He had finally taken the next step, to comprehend the heavenly abode. However, when his heavenly abode appeared, he was suddenly stunned. In the first paradise, the extreme of fire gave birth to thunder. In the second paradise, the extreme of water gave birth to thunder. In the third paradise, the extreme of wood gave birth to thunder. Along the way, in the first 5 paradises, the extreme of the 5 elements gave birth to thunder. In the 6th and 7th paradises, thunder evolved into the 5 elements. In the last paradise, thunder divided into yin and yang, life and death, and gave birth to chaos, creation, and so on. The extreme of the 5 elements gave birth to thunder. When Chu Yang was in the 5 elements sect, he knew this very clearly. However, he did not understand when thunder turned into the 5 elements. He was even more confused about the last paradise. What is this situation? Chu Yang thought for a moment. He used his paradise to devour a thunderbolt from Feng Xing Lei, and it evolved into such a situation in the end. Kuan Kuan, quickly come out and take a look. Something big has happened. He was a little confused and woke up the Ice Kuan, who was cultivating. When the Ice Kuan saw it, it immediately exclaimed, Thunder Technique Primary Instruction. It was said that the Thunder Technique outline was a supreme technique that included all the Thunder Technique. Within it, thousands of Thunder Techniques were organized, summarized, and sublimated. However, no one knew the specifics because it seemed that no one had ever seen this Thunder Technique outline in its entirety. Why did the Thunder Technique Primary Instruction appear in my paradise? Chu Yang thought of a possibility and blurted out, Wind Thunder. That plaything cultivated the Thunder Technique outline. I swallowed his thunder, which was equivalent to swallowing his technique. Therefore, his technique evolved in my heavenly abode in the end. This should be one of the factors. The Ice Koan thought for a while and said, It is certain that Wind Thunder has the Thunder Method outline, but it must be incomplete. No one in the world can get the complete Thunder Method outline. This should be the work of the Master's Paradise, the Ice Koan concluded. To be more precise, it's the work of the Infinite Sovereign Lord. Infinite Paradise, Infinite Nascent Divinity. Master's 11 heavenly abodes contain the profound mysteries of the Infinite Dominator, and are constantly pushing forward the incomplete lightning punishment overarching principle. That's why this situation has occurred. That's the reason? Chu Yang was a little unconvinced. It should also be related to Master's Destiny Twins' martial spirits, as well as Master absorbing the origins of the two worlds. Bing Kuan concluded, whether it is the heavenly soul world or the myriad God world's source, there must be a complete lightning law in it, it's just that no one has been able to find out what it is. That makes sense. Chu Yang couldn't help but nod, agreeing with the Ice Kuan's explanation. This was the most reasonable explanation, otherwise there was no other possibility. Sigh. The Ice Kuan sighed, Master, I really admire you. You can pick up a great fortune in any random place. This was the truth. Just from what the Ice Kuan saw, the heavenly soul world and the myriad God world's source, the 11 heavenly abodes, and the thunder method outline, which one of them wasn't a fortune. It was impossible for others to get even one of them in their lifetime, but for Master, the fortune was delivered to him by itself. Chu Yang rubbed his nose and smiled. Kuan, this is the effect of a snowball effect, it's just that the snowball is getting bigger and bigger. After a little explanation of the so-called snowball effect, the Ice Kuan couldn't help but agree that no one could stop its master. Chapter 1535. Rumble. Soon, the rumbling sound of thunder could be heard from the Sin Hall. It was an incessant rumble. Chu Yang sometimes smiled and sometimes frowned, but he was completely unaware. The Ice Kuan swam around in the air. Both of them had entered a strange state and were constantly comprehending the laws and Tao. The general outline of the thunder technique was slowly appearing in their hearts. As time passed, both of them turned into two balls of lightning. Their bodies were completely covered and surrounded by endless lightning. They became more and more mysterious, and their auras became more and more shocking. At the Ice Kuan's side, the black and white thunder were like the moon and the sun. They formed a divine picture, and the aura of the great Tao permeated the air. Chaotic lightning appeared, and even chaotic qi appeared. This was an extremely shocking change. Chu Yang's comprehension was also great. His body exploded with 5-colored lightning. Countless metallic words seemed to be read from the grotto heaven, and they were imprinted in his mind. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, another year had passed. Both Chu Yang and the Ice Kuan were completely unaware. They were completely immersed in Tao comprehension and had forgotten everything. As the general outline of the thunder technique was completely deciphered, the Ice Kuan and the man's comprehension deepened. They were surrounded by nomological fragments. A pair of wings suddenly appeared on the Ice Kuan's back. They looked like the Kuan Peng's wings, but they were formed by lightning. One was as black as ink, and the other was incomparably white. Both wings flapped gently, and immediately, endless thunder exploded. It was terrifying. Then, it was wrapped around by strand after strand of lightning wisp. It was like a cocoon, releasing strand after strand of mist that was like immortal mist. The Ice Kuan's comprehension of the great Tao was naturally deeper than Chu Yang's. After all, it was a saint. Chu Yang's comprehension was more shallow. He first comprehended the 5 elements of thunder, and then the 5 elements of thunder. Clang, clang, clang. The sharp aura shook the sky. Sabers, spears, swords, halberds, and other weapons were all formed by thunder. Clang. A thunder sword shook in his hand and let out a sword cry. It was no different from a real divine sword. It was impossible to tell whether it was formed by the power of gold or thunder, but the combination of the two powers was unparalleled. Chu Yang held the sword in his hand and gently stabbed it into the void. Immediately there was a rumbling sound. Lightning flooded the sky like an ocean. When this sword pierced out, its power was astonishing. Apart from the berserk lightning, there was also the sharpness of the divine sword. It was unstoppable, unstoppable. The metallic lightning tore through everything like rotten weeds, destroying everything, killing all great enemies. After that, Chu Yang changed again, and countless weapons began to melt. Walala! Soon, the countless weapons melted into water. the sound of flowing water resounded, and a small river appeared. It circled around Chu Yang, and there were fishes swimming in it. They were lively and agile, and they swam at an incomparably fast speed. Of course, all of this was formed from thunder. It wasn't true flowing water, but rather water formed from lightning. It was shocking to the extreme, and its power was unimaginable. With a wave of Chu Yang's hand, the small river rushed out like a flood dragon. Thunder filled the air, penetrating through every opening and sweeping through the void. Such power was terrifying to the extreme. Gold gave birth to water, water gave birth to wood gave birth to fire, fire gave birth to earth, and earth gave birth to gold. All the changes of thunder and lightning followed the 5 elements. Strands of thunder and lightning appeared, and wrapped around him like a cocoon, making him appear especially extraordinary. In the midst of such changes, thunder turned into wood and water, manifesting the destructive power of thunder. And when it turned into fire and metal, it manifested the destructive power of thunder, one of the strongest offensive techniques, incisively and vividly. Thunder evolved into the earth of the 5 elements, manifesting the majesty and vastness of thunder. It also seemed to contain and carry. Chapter 1536. In fact, Chu Yang was still not satisfied with the level of the 5 elements, but he decided to stop for now. When he tried to transform the lightning into light and darkness, he was shocked, the celestial demon twins. After that, he suddenly slapped himself on the forehead and cursed in his heart. Am I an idiot? I have the Fiend God clone and the Heaven Tao clone, and I am completely capable of utilizing them to deduce and cultivate. Yet I've been guarding a mountain of treasures. Am I waiting for it to grow mold? His liver was in pain. 3 years had passed, and counting the 4 avatars, it was 12 years. He had wasted a total of 12 years. I must be crazy. Chu Yang was vexed for a while, and he immediately summoned the 2 avatars and the celestial demon avatars. The heavenly spirit world's avatars were to organize and comprehend everything in the heavenly spirit world, while the God's world's avatars were to sense and cultivate everything in the God's world. The celestial demon avatars were to deduce light and darkness, angels and demons, and everything related to the Destiny Twins' martial spirit. His main body continued to deduce the lightning law's general principles, and as such, the things that were stagnant in his martial path suddenly surged like a great river. Another half a year passed, and he finally managed to transform the lightning into light and darkness, but it was incomparably difficult. Without reaching the required level, any further research would be futile. Thus, he turned around and replayed the 5 elements of thunder, 5 elements of thunder, light, and darkness. Just understanding and comprehending the lightning law's general principles took him a long time, which showed how vast the lightning law's general principles were. Now, Chu Yang was going to extract the essence and eliminate the impurities, trying to infuse his own unique understanding into the lightning law, turning it into his own Tao, reaching the pinnacle. He even planned to surpass the lightning law's general principles, creating something new, stepping into the uncharted territory. If others knew about this, they would definitely think that he was arrogant and didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. What was the lightning law's general principles? A supreme scripture. How could there be impurities? How could it be doubted? How could it be surpassed? However, in his opinion, the spirit of doubt and innovation was many times more important than the general principles of thunder technique. No matter how supreme the general principles of thunder techniques were, it was ultimately created by humans. Why couldn't one question it? Why couldn't one surpass it? Of course, this was related to his previous life. The education of his previous life had imprinted these 2 incomparably precious things in his soul. Many of the truths that people previously believed to be absolute were constantly being proven to have limitations under the continuous advancement of science. They were constantly being overturned, and new theories were constantly being born. Because of this, a scripture like the General Principles of Thunder Laws, which was regarded as a supreme classic by others, could also be overthrown and surpassed. Doubt and innovation. Chu Yang had always been trying to do this. Incense elephant crossing the river, cutting off the flow, 5 elements thunderous hand, wind drill, fire drill, wind drill, wind drill, fire drill, wind thunder drill, earth fire explosion, sky thunder explosion, and so on. When he was in the eastern wilderness, because he had the Destiny twins to rely on, he made all kinds of deductions and added in many of his own ideas. Even if he modified or created them himself, they might not necessarily be very powerful, but they would definitely be the most suitable for him. In fact, when Chu Yang was comprehending the lightning law's general principles, many ideas had popped up in his mind. Transforming lightning into the 5 elements was too much of a concept. If he could transform it into something more concrete, would it be even more powerful? If lightning transformed into the power of metal, it would transform into a blade, spear, sword, and halberd. Its attack power would be a lot stronger. What if it transformed into the white tiger of the 4 divisions? After transforming lightning into the power of metal, what would happen if the power of metal transformed into a cauldron, a golden bell, or a Buddhist golden body? Chapter 1537. Now Chu Yang finally started to try. He started to move, transforming the thunder into the power of gold. Then, he used the power of gold to rearrange and combine to construct the white tiger. Because he had the 4 symbols visualization diagram, Chu Yang's construction of the white tiger wasn't very complicated. It only took a short time. Roar! The roar was like thunder. The sound waves seemed to have substance, forming all kinds of weapons. It was as if it wasn't sound waves that rushed out, but a storm of weapons. It was breathtaking. Murderous and baleful aura filled the sky. It was as if a god of death had appeared. In an instant, the surrounding void turned blood-red. It was as if the void was filled with living beings that were being killed. The power is much stronger. Because of the construction of the white tiger, the power has increased tremendously. The killing power is even more shocking. Chu Yang sensed it. The white tiger formed from the power of gold had an additional destructive power of thunder. Of course, its power was even more shocking. This was like the previous tiger that only had teeth and claws. After cultivating into a demon and gaining intelligence, it could control the thunder. Naturally, it was even more terrifying. The increase in power wasn't just a little bit, but a kind of qualitative increase. It was very terrifying. Not bad. The power is amazing. It should be no problem to deal with a 9th-level Nirvana realm martial artist. He smiled. This was just the beginning of his experiment. After verifying that his idea was feasible, he started to try again. After spending the time to transform the sky, he first transformed the thunder into the power of gold. The power of gold turned into small knives and swords. They were so small that they couldn't be seen clearly. They seemed to be no different from spiritual energy. Then, the swords and sabers formed the white tiger again. When he activated it for battle, he found that the attack power had increased by another level. It was even more shocking. However, Chu Yang frowned. There was nothing to be proud of. It was just that there were a few more changes and more things had been integrated into it. It was too far away from the Tao that he had in mind. At most, it was just a personal mark. I'm afraid I can't create my own thunder law. I can only do this for now. He was helpless and could only continue to perfect his own characteristic. This time, it wasn't a killing attack, but a defensive attempt. He turned the power of gold into small cauldrons and then formed a big cauldron. Dang dang dang. When the cauldron was struck, the sound it made seemed to be accompanied by a Tao rhyme. In the end, he constructed the Buddhist golden body. The Buddhist aura overflowed into the heavens, and there was an indescribable profoundness to it. With such a transformation, the defensive power will be the same as the strength of the sofa, but it will also be much stronger. This did not exceed Chu Yang's expectations, so he was not very happy. Then, he began the evolution of the four elements. After the power of lightning transformed into the power of the five elements, the objects that were used to construct the five elements became extremely extraordinary. The azure dragon, black tortoise, and vermilion bird that were created became incomparably terrifying due to the addition of the power of lightning. He kept on changing, different forms, different effects. He continued to summarize and explore. In the end, he attempted to evolve the power of lightning into the power of the five elements and fuse them together. At first, it was very sluggish, but in the end, it was extremely smooth and he could do it as he pleased. The various attributes of the power of the five elements in the thunder law all appeared, and the power became more and more powerful. In the end, he successfully shot out the five-colored lightning. The five-colored lightning was similar to the five elements' divine light, but it was more domineering than the five elements' divine light. When he raised his hand and shot it out, the five-colored lightning swept across and nothing could survive. He was not very clear about the specific power. After that, Chu Yang stopped studying the thunder law. He had spent a lot of time. If he was in the real world, he would not have so much time to study it. Chapter 1538. There was no doubt that Chu Yang's gains were enormous. In the last 4 years, he had polished the two martial arts to perfection. They no longer needed to be switched. They coexisted perfectly and could be used freely. The limitless body and Taiji art had also improved. All kinds of supernatural powers, weapons, arrays, and so on had been practiced over and over again. He no longer felt uneasy. The most surprising thing was the golden origin. After absorbing the origin of two worlds, under Chu Yang's refinement, it had completely caught up with the rhythm of the pentagram inverse sky star. It could also be used as a substitute for Chu Yang's strength. When attached to him, it could erupt with strength equal to Chu Yang. The grotto heavens and domains were also fully comprehended. Especially the 11th grotto heaven, Chu Yang had figured out the mystery. He could even use the 11th grotto heaven to erupt with strength and speed 11 times. His realm was also fully consolidated at the 9th level of the primordial spirit realm. His soul power was more condensed and powerful. His physical strength had increased from the original 9 dragons to 16 dragons. This was the result of him suppressing it so that there would not be any flaws in his cultivation. It was only because he was in the God's world that his martial arts cultivation in the heavenly soul world did not improve. In the end, he felt that continuing to cultivate behind closed doors was not very useful. Because of the 4 avatars, Chu Yang's cultivation, martial arts, and other aspects were too fast. However, he was still unable to condense a godhead and was stuck here. After spending so much time, he still lacked a little bit to gather the 11 laws of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth to a certain extent and condense a godhead. When Chu Yang stopped cultivating and stood up, the Bing Kuan found that whether it was his physical body, soul, technique, or Tao, there had been a transformation. He was completely different from before. It was as if he had changed into another person. Its master's cultivation was already astonishingly fast. With such a long time to settle and comprehend, his martial arts foundation was so solid and perfect. It was unimaginable in the future. What was certain was that Chu Yang's cultivation speed would be even faster in the future. It was likely that it could scare people to death. As for what kind of scene it would be to let a monster like Chu Yang out, the Ice Kuan felt that the scene would be as beautiful as a painting. There should be a few more days outside. It's only been a month. I'll go out and see if there's anyone blocking the door. If there is, hee hee. Chu Yang laughed strangely. When the Ice Koan heard this, it immediately knew that someone was going to have bad luck. Its master had been facing the air for 8 years. It reckoned that it was suffocating. It was itching to find someone to play with. Amidst his strange laughter, Chu Yang left his heaven avatar behind and prepared to steal the Sin Hall's temporal laws. After 8 years of constant cultivation, the 2 heaven clones had become even more ridiculous than the god-devil clones. For example, the god world's heaven avatar couldn't be killed. As long as the god world didn't disappear, it was only a matter of time before a heaven avatar was formed by gathering the power of the god world. I wonder which sovereign will be teased by Master? The Ice Koan didn't care about blocking the door at all. Provoking the ruler was the big show. Everything else was bullshit, but it was all his master's bad taste. Boom! Chu Yang kicked open the door of Sin Hall. Instantly, a bright light fell into his eyes. He was slightly unaccustomed to it. In the gravity region of the test, he made his divine clone invisible and left it where it was. Then, with a swoosh, he charged over. He's out, he's out. The 9th stage Grotto Heaven Realm has finally come out. Quickly report to young Master Feng. He looks like he's only at the 9th stage Grotto Heaven Realm. This time, he's dead for sure. Chapter 1539. Chu Yang listened to these words. Many of them were very harsh to the ears. But, when they fell into his ears, his mood was incomparably happy. He opened his arms, raised his head, closed his eyes, and deeply breathed in the air outside. Then, he said to himself, I don't like you guys. But, why do I feel so pleasant to hear your contemptuous voices? Little cuties? At that moment, the observation group, made up of humans and beasts, suddenly lost their voices. This was too cruel, or perhaps the sinful beast had gone crazy. How could they understand Chu Yang's feelings? He hadn't seen anyone for 8 years. How could he not be happy when he saw someone now? Chu Yang happily looked at a centaur and said, Let me take a look at you. Your upper half is a human body, while your lower half is a horse's body. It's just like the description in my memory, but you look much more realistic. The centaur was confused. What was the meaning of this? Yes, you are very strong as expected. Chu Yang suddenly shouted, Double-edged sword. What was going on? Everyone present was scared out of their wits, especially the centaur. With a whoosh, it fled far away. Ha ha! Chu Yang laughed. Naturally, he didn't explain. He could say that he played a game that was once popular. Then, he looked at a half-human mammoth and sized it up. You little thing, I always confuse you with a centaur. Can you not use the word half-human? The half-human mammoth pointed at himself and said in surprise, When did I become a half-human mammoth? Why didn't I know? Chu Yang was shocked. You are not a half-human mammoth. What are you? Ignorant. The half-human mammoth only gave Chu Yang 2 words. Chu Yang was not convinced. You know shockwaves, you know power, and you know polar reversal. I am an Eleforce. The half-human mammoth couldn't stand Chu Yang. He actually made a mess of him. Chu Yang looked at him again and again. In the end, he couldn't see the slightest bit of resemblance from this guy. He immediately said, I guarantee that your mother definitely didn't abide by the virtues of a woman. Your father is definitely a half-human mammoth. You actually don't even know your father. The elephant horse was so angry that its nose was crooked. Roar! With a stomp of its 4 hooves, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. A powerful force surged out from the magma, forming waves of magma. Wave after wave of magma flooded towards Chu Yang. Don't be angry. I'm just telling the truth. If I'm wrong, I'll apologize to you. Chu Yang pressed his hand down, and all of the surging magma waves were suppressed. Not a single wave was created. It was as calm as a mirror, a bright red mirror. Whoosh! Right at this moment, a streak of light shot over, aiming straight for Chu Yang's throat. Chu Yang focused his gaze and saw that it was a silver arrow formed by the power of wind and thunder. The lightning that erupted from it was extremely dazzling. He dodged it. He wasn't in a bad mood as he finally had an opponent. He then looked over and said, "Feng Xinglei." Such an outcome wasn't unexpected. At this moment, Feng Xinglei flew over with a purple bow in his hand. His entire body was enveloped by golden lightning. "Long time no see. I've missed you." Chu Yang looked at Feng Xinglei with a smile. He felt that Feng Xinglei's aura was even more vigorous than before. He said, "You've become even more powerful. Congratulations." Feng Xinglei's pupils shrank slightly. After confirming that Chu Yang was still at the 9th level of the Grotto Heaven realm, he immediately sneered, "Trash will always be trash. With a time ratio of 1 to 100, you've stayed in Sin Hall for 8 years. Yet, you're still only at the 9th level of the Grotto Heaven realm?" Chu Yang laughed in his heart. "If I wasn't only at the 9th level of the Grotto Heaven realm, why would you attack me?" Chapter 1540. "You bastard!" Chu Yang said to Feng Xinglei, "Are you sure that the time ratio inside is 1 to 100? Saying this, he pointed at Feng Xinglei's nose. "You bastard, you tricked me and made me suffer lightning strikes for a month in the Sin Hall. I must have suffered for you. You better apologize to me." Feng Xinglei squinted his eyes. "Is someone trying to trick me? Or else, according to the time ratio of 1 to 100, this Sin Beast's cultivation shouldn't only be at the 9th layer Grotto Heaven realm." Of course, he wouldn't believe Chu Yang's words. However, he realized that the aura on Chu Yang's body was as heavy as a mountain or a star. He was slightly shocked. After that, he even discovered the dense aura of thunder on Chu Yang's body. His pupils shrank slightly. The aura of this Sin Beast's Thunder Dao is very shocking. Could it be that it's just some kind of test or inheritance? We'll know when we take it down. While he was guessing, Chu Yang was laughing so hard that his stomach hurt. He couldn't believe that he had tricked this bastard just like that. It made him suspicious. "Sin Beast, you killed 2 of my servants, destroyed my death substitute talisman, and stole my fortune. If I don't kill you 100 times, 10,000 times, it won't be enough to vent my anger." Feng Xinglei didn't want to talk too much with a Sin Beast and lower his own status. He spoke coldly with a terrifying coldness. He was incomparably handsome. Lightning crackled on his wind and lightning wings, and the howling of the wind was incessant. It made the place where he was like a destructive hell, and he was like the god of slaughter in hell. "I'm just giving you a taste of your own medicine." Chu Yang clenched his fists so tightly that cracking sounds could be heard. He said, "What? You want to attack me, but I can't fight back?" "Fight back? What right do you have to fight back? If I want you to die, you have to die obediently. Why don't you take a look at your status? Who do you think you are?" Feng Xinglei was incomparably arrogant. His pair of demonic eyes were filled with anger and killing intent. Even though his voice wasn't that loud, it carried a tremendous might, letting everyone clearly feel his arrogance. When he looked at Chu Yang with disdain, it was as if a supreme existence had descended. "Heh." Chu Yang smiled. "You've done a good job. You remind me of a lot of people I don't know." "Sin Beast, I know what you're saying," Feng Xinglei said coldly. "Are you saying that people like me are either dead or regretting it so much that their intestines have turned green? Your comprehension ability is not bad, huh? You think you're worthy? A mere Sin Beast can't even leave the Beast Abyss. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me?" Chu Yang was overjoyed. To him, this was very familiar. He hadn't experienced it for 8 years. Now that he was experiencing it again, he felt a little different. He said what he always said before, "You little thing, please continue your performance." Many figures appeared in the sky. It seemed that everyone knew that Feng Xinglei was blocking the door, waiting for the Sin Hall's Sin Beast to come out. They wanted to fight with him and wash away their previous humiliation. Thus, when Feng Xinglei arrived and the fluctuations were transmitted, many people immediately rushed over. Obviously, they wanted to see this battle. Sigh, poor child. Bing Kuan shook his head in Chu Yang's paradise. He could have provoked anyone, but he had to provoke such a savage master. Young master, it's just a mere sin beast. Talking to him is simply an insult to you. There were 4 or 5 servants beside Feng Xinglei. Their auras were incomparably strong, and the power of wind and thunder surged on their bodies. Their eyes were like lightning, extremely shocking. Indeed, I lost my composure because of the sin beast again. Feng Xinglei didn't angrily rebuke or teach his servants a lesson. Instead, he was self-reflecting. Chapter 1541. Buzz, buzz. He took out a golden arrow and knocked it on the bow. Suddenly, there was a buzzing sound in the world, and an indescribable aura surged out. Behind it, a thunder dragon roared, and the dragon's roar echoed in the air. Hiss! Everyone present couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air as they stared fixedly at the golden bow. The scene was incomparably shocking. The bowstring transformed into a roaring thunder dragon, and the divine power it emitted caused people's hearts to palpitate. Roar! There was another dragon roar, and an even bigger thunder dragon appeared. It coiled around Feng Xinglei's body, protecting him completely. There was endless lightning, and the sound of thunder was deafening. Instantly, everyone felt the extraordinariness of the golden bow. That was why it was so powerful. Otherwise, how could it be so powerful? Very good. I was just worried that no one would fight with me. Let me try. This Feng Xinglei is a perfect match for me. Chu Yang was happy and eager to try. Rumbling thunder also burst out from his body. His whole body was dazzling and people couldn't see it. He was ready to attack at any time. The bow was pulled, and it was like a full moon. The roars of dragons and tigers could be heard. Whoosh! A dazzling golden light flew over like a bolt of lightning, but it was as invisible as the wind. It was also extremely fast, and it gave people a feeling that they couldn't resist it. Chu Yang slightly wrinkled his brows. The power of this bow and arrow was extremely astonishing. He was afraid that it was a great killing weapon. He didn't want to directly confront it before he could determine its level. Instead, he immediately dodged it. However, the bow and arrow flew back, and firmly locked onto him. Roar! With the roars of dragons and tigers, a lightning dragon and a wind tiger rushed out. Boom! 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 Chu Yang used his amazing power to destroy the dragon and the tiger. At the same time, he struck a bolt of lightning on the arrow. The divine arrow vibrated and the lightning raged. It erased the spiritual imprint on it, so it couldn't lock onto Chu Yang immediately. With a rumbling sound, the divine arrow shot into the magma. The magma turned into a huge wave, and the wave hit the sky as if it was going to reach the 9 levels of heaven. Although the power of this arrow was shocking, it was only a treasure of the Nirvana realm. In the world of the gods, it was considered a divine artifact, a middle-grade divine artifact. Chu Yang instantly judged. In the distance, everyone was incomparably shocked. Feng Xinglei shot out an arrow, and a dragon and tiger appeared. Its power was incomparably shocking. However, he had only casually drawn his bow and shot an arrow, and it was already so shocking. Chu Yang didn't really care. He was confident that he could fight against peak stage 9 God Realm experts. However, he was extremely cautious. He stood there, cold and unmoving. To be honest, it was a good thing for him to encounter such an opponent as soon as he came out of seclusion. Erasing the divine will on my arrow? You have some skills. However, I hope that you will be as strong as possible. Otherwise, I will be tricked by you in a month's time. If word gets out, I won't have the face to live in this world anymore. Feng Xinglei still felt extremely humiliated that he had been tricked by Chu Yang the last time they fought. When these words were spoken, no one was surprised. Feng Xinglei was too powerful. That arrow just now had at most displayed 30% of his strength. It was normal for him to feel humiliated after being defeated by a sin beast. After all, although the sin beast was shocking, it was only at stage 9 Grotto Heaven Realm. Haha, to be defeated by me, when you see your companions in the underworld, they will tell you that you didn't die in vain. Chu Yang laughed, not caring at all. Very good, that's it. I hope that you will be more arrogant and stronger. When I kill you, I can use you as an excuse. Feng Xinglei was like a cat playing with a mouse. He drew his bow again and shot an arrow. The thunder dragon roared, shaking the heavens and the earth. The golden arrow flew over, and the rolling thunder god drowned out the sound of the wind. A hurricane appeared out of nowhere, and endless thunder and lightning erupted. Chapter 1542. The onlookers discolored. They were sure that even an incipient God Realm expert would be shot off by this arrow. Although they were far away, they could feel the terrifying destructive power of lightning and thunder. It was as if it could destroy everything, which made people shiver in fear. Interesting. Seems like he does have the incomplete thunder technique introduction. Chu Yang didn't dodge this time. He raised his fist and smashed it over. What he used was the thunder technique. Endless thunder and lightning burst out. He didn't evolve the 5 elements. He only used thunder and lightning to bombard his opponent. At the same time, he tested his body. Boom, boom, boom. The fist was big, and the golden arrow was small, but when the fist struck out, the fist was like a divine blade, directly cutting the golden arrow into 2 halves and directly exploding, turning into a wave of lightning. The lightning was resplendent, drowning the heaven and earth. In the end, it turned into specks of light and completely disappeared. What? Feng Xinglei's body was shaken. The first arrow was normal, but the second arrow he used had the wind and thunder power Upanishad. It was so intimidating that even a 3rd or 4th level mid-god realm expert couldn't resist it. However, the sin beast had smashed it with only 1 punch. You're good. You've given me a good excuse for my failure 1 month ago. He was surprised, but he wasn't afraid. Haha, don't talk nonsense. Hurry up and use all of your power. Otherwise, after today, I'm afraid you won't have another chance. Chu Yang had been cultivating for 8 years. The toughness of his body was unimaginable. Harumph, boasting shamelessly. I will force you to use your real competence little by little until you reach your limit. Then, people will know that you do have a peerless innate talent. Feng Xinglei was still arrogant. Lightning sparkled in his eyes. Boom, boom, boom. The gold divine bow was like a thundercloud with rolling thunder. When the 3rd arrow was shot out, it was like a lightning punishment. Its power was earth-shaking, shaking the entire lava sea. Feng Xinglei's aura rocketed as he had used the 3 rules of lightning. It was a terrifying attack of a mid-god realm expert. Although Feng Xinglei despised it, he had the right to be proud. This arrow's power had increased significantly. It was much more intimidating than the 2nd arrow. A smile appeared on Chu Yang's face. Lightning flashed all over his body and turned into small hammers one after another. Suddenly, he was completely different from before. The lightning that burst out from his body actually shone with a metallic luster, as if it was no longer lightning. His entire body seemed to have turned into a lightning hammer. Above his fist, the small hammer formed a large hammer, fusing and resonating with his fist, producing a buzzing sound, appearing incomparably sturdy. In contrast, it instantly made people feel as if the divine arrow was just a wooden arrow. The power of gold. The power of gold of the 5 elements of lightning. Feng Xinglei's pupils constricted. His opponent's comprehension of the thunder technique was no weaker than his. His performance also surpassed his expectations. He was like a bolt of lightning. A terrifying aura of the way of thunder emanated from him, making him feel somewhat fearful. Dang! Chu Yang punched out with his fist, as if he was swinging a hammer to smash an arrow. If his spiritual force wasn't strong enough, he would have easily missed. But at his level, how strong was his soul force? Even the slightest mistake could send him flying. His fist burst out with boundless lightning. He directly punched the sword and arrow from the tip to the tail, breaking them apart inch by inch and exploding with a loud bang. Everyone's expression changed. Chu Yang, with a mere 9th layer of Grotto Heaven Realm, was actually able to fight against a god's chosen one. Moreover, he was so powerful that it shocked every single one of them. "You're too slow. I'll let you see how capable I am." As Chu Yang spoke, his aura changed again. The small hammers disappeared, and the power of darkness in his body suddenly disappeared with a swoosh. He was like a stealthy assassin, silently approaching rapidly. Then, the thunder technique changed again, turning into small swords one after another. Immediately, his entire body revealed its sharpness. He was like a divine thunder controlling a divine sword to cross the sky, and also like a divine light from beyond the heavens. Feng Xinglei was shocked. He didn't expect his opponent to be able to suddenly appear in front of him. When he tried to dodge, it was already a bit too late. He was brushed by this attack. Swoosh! Chapter 1543. The hair with the scalp was stained with blood, falling down like a bloody goose feather snow. The scene suddenly became deathly silent, not a single sound could be heard. "Sin beast, you dare to hurt me, do you know the consequences? Death will become an extravagant wish for you." Feng Xinglei gently touched the wound on his head. Looking at his hand full of blood, he gritted his teeth, the veins on his forehead throbbing. He was a god's chosen one, a heaven's chosen one, a god's favorite. He did not expect the opponent's strange methods to be so close to him. Caught off guard, it actually led to this result. Hong! The wind and thunder wings shook, turning into thunder wings, but there was no lightning. The power of the 5 elements surged out, and immediately after, with shio sounds, long swords, big knives, long swords, and long spears appeared one after another. They either carried wood poison, fire, or ice. They formed a storm and rushed towards Chu Yang. There was not a trace of lightning, but it seemed even more dangerous. Feng Xinglei was completely furious. He was only 17 or 18 years old, but he was already a middle god expert, looking down on his peers. His talent was frighteningly high, but he was careless and was tricked by the sin beast. He had already suffered a great loss, and now, this kind of thing happened again. He could not accept this. 5 elements give birth to thunder, right? Perfect. Chu Yang was indifferent. He did not dodge. His fist exploded with dazzling 5-colored radiance, and directly smashed out. The power of the fist drowned the void. Hong! Everything exploded. In an instant, everything exploded, forming a wave of lightning that drowned that place, making crackling sounds. The electric arcs were astonishing, and the thunder shook people's souls. "Lowly bastard, hand over your life!" Feng Xinglei shouted. Before the first move was finished, he struck out another move. The thunder wings behind his back flapped, and lightning interweaved. The divine power was astonishing. This was the innate talent of his race. This time, it was the 5 elements. The thunder and lightning turned into a storm of weapons, a ball of flames, rolling boulders, a long river, and blood vines rushed over. At this moment, Feng Xinglei's handsome and strange face was a bit distorted. The great humiliation last time was something he had never experienced before. It was something he had painstakingly engraved in his heart. A month later, he came to take revenge and wipe out the humiliation, but his scalp was shaved off again. Wouldn't others say that if he wasn't careful, he would lose his head? For a genius like him, face was the most important thing. If news of this were to spread, it would be too embarrassing. Rumble! The two five-colored thunderstorms intertwined, and in the end, one of them was completely annihilated. Suddenly, the remaining power rushed out and faced the second wave of wind thunder's attack. What? How is that possible? Feng Xinglei's eyes were filled with shock. His five elements thunder was not a match for his opponent's thunder power. His plan was very good. The first attack would tire the Sin Beast out, and the second attack would take the Sin Beast's life. However, such a change occurred. The Sin Beast's understanding of the thunder technique was actually more profound than his. This was the first time he was shocked. He felt a great setback, and his expression immediately became even more sinister. Roar! The roar of a dragon and a tiger resounded. Before the second wave of attack arrived, Feng Xinglei made his move again. He drew his bow again. This time, he did not hold back. He added all the profound meaning of wind and thunder to the arrow. With a pring sound, the moment the bowstring was released, a wind and thunder arrow was shot out. The light beam was 30 meters long, and it was like a shocking rainbow piercing through the sky. These two attacks can test the defensive power of my technique even more. Chu Yang's thunder evolved into the power of ice. Then, the power of ice changed into the power of water, and finally, the power of fog. After the three transformations, the black tortoise of the four divisions was quickly constructed. Immediately, a vast ocean appeared. Amidst the rolling waves, a black tortoise emerged. Finally, it changed into a black tortoise shield, an ice shield. The fog rolled and the fog was hazy. The surrounding waves were surging violently, and they lay across the front. The three transformations of water, fog, and ice formed three types of defense. The transformations were unpredictable, and they were in accordance with the Tao of heaven and earth. Su Rian's method was very simple, but it was not easy to execute. Chapter 1544. Rumble. The five elemental lightning technique of the wind thunder technique's lightning technique had a metal attack, forming a storm of weapons. However, the moment it reached the fog, it was immediately corroded, losing half of it. Then, it was engulfed by the wave. The lightning energy that erupted was completely absorbed. The lightning was like water. The lightning energy of the wind thunder technique was like the pugilistic world entering the sea. It surged towards Chu Yang and was completely devoured. The fog became denser, and the waves became more turbulent. What? Water, fog, and ice. These three are all evolved from lightning. They actually have the corrosive and accommodating laws of water. Feng Xinglei was shocked once again. He was so shocked that he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Immediately, he controlled the four elements of wood, water, fire, and earth. The river rushed towards the waves, the fire burned the fog, the boulder smashed into the black tortoise ice shield, and the blood vines pierced through the ice shield. Bang! The fire soared into the sky, and the ice shield trembled. The river and the waves clashed, as if two dragons were fighting. Rumble! Then, boundless lightning erupted, drowning the area. Xiao! The arrow that Feng Xinglei shot burst into the ice shield at this moment. This arrow was an attack that contained his hatred. It was an incomparably sharp method that destroyed everything in its path. The lightning was incomparably violent. When it hit the black tortoise ice shield, it exploded with endless destructive power, destroying everything in its path. Gotcha! The black tortoise ice shield was completely shattered, and the terrifying lightning that erupted from it completely obliterated the lightning power of the wind lightning. After a while, Chu Yang's figure was revealed. You also have the thunder technique's outline. You only realized now? Chu Yang laughed softly. After 8 years of cultivation and spending so much effort, how could he not have gained anything? Then he smiled and said, It seems that my thunder technique is more profound than yours. Rumble. As he spoke, he shot out a bolt of lightning. Halfway through, this bolt of lightning turned into a huge wave mixed with ice and water, surging over in an overwhelming manner. The wave swept across the sky like a tsunami. It was a shocking scene. No one dared to believe that this was formed by a bolt of lightning. Sin Beast, you deserve to die. The thunder technique's outline isn't something you can meddle with. Facing Chu Yang, he used an even more direct method to tell him that he was completely defeated. Feng Xinglei's face twisted as he roared, "Wind-dimensional slash." Whoosh! A gust of wind swept out and the void was instantly torn apart. The crescent-shaped spatial crack devoured the endless waves. So this is the so-called innate divine technique. It's nothing more than that. Sin Beast, are you saying sour grapes because you can't eat them? Do I need to? With a swoosh, Chu Yang moved. His entire body was covered with lightning, and the lightning transformed into the power of light within his body, making him look like a beam of light. His speed reached the extreme, and he arrived in an instant. Since you look down on my divine technique, I will show you how terrifying it is. Feng Xinglei's eyes shone with a cold light. He knew that he had run into a thorny problem. However, he was not worried at all. The thunder wings on his back shook, and 10,000 thunderbolts shot out. With a swoosh, he was split into two, as if he was split into two by Chu Yang. Immediately, two Feng Xinglei appeared in front of Chu Yang, sneering, "Sin Beast, do you see? This is my divine technique. One split into two, and both are doppelgangers, and both are the main body. 2 against 1, what chance do you have to win?" Interesting. You said you can't kill me? Then let me try. Chu Yang roared. The lightning in his body changed again, and all of it turned into the power of darkness. It made his entire body move like a ghost. It was silent, and no one could pinpoint his location. He planned to try and kill one of them first. Humph! The two Feng Xinglei snorted coldly at the same time. Each of them had a cruel smile on their faces. They attacked at the same time, and each of them slapped down a huge hand, forming a thundercloud. Each of them struck down a bolt of lightning. Chapter 1545. Rumble, rumble, rumble! Chu Yang allowed the two thunderbolts to hit him. Suddenly, he exploded into black shadows. With a swoosh, everyone saw Chu Yang rushing out from the other side and attacking one of Feng Xinglei. Previously, it was just a shadow, but no one knew when Chu Yang had switched it out. It was so mysterious that it made people gasp in amazement. Rumble, rumble, rumble! Chu Yang attacked, but Feng Xinglei didn't dodge. He just sneered. With a thought, one of his two shadows exploded into a ball of thunderbolts and swept out, engulfing Chu Yang completely. His doppelganger was originally formed by the power of thunderbolts and could transform into thunderbolts at any time. It was ridiculous to dare to get close to him. Destroy! At the same time, he shot out 8 huge thunderbolts and bombarded them. The spectators were all shocked. This was formed by a thunderbolt spell, condensing the power of thunderbolts into one point. It was unimaginable for a thunderbolt to explode. All 8 thunderbolts exploded in an instant, turning the sky and the earth upside down. Even the magma below was evaporated. Humph, you have completely ruined my plan and even shattered my thunder spell that I thought was infallible. I am very unhappy. While Feng Xinglei and the spectators were waiting for the result, Chu Yang had already appeared behind Feng Xinglei. He was indeed in trouble just now and had to use the space-time technique to dodge. As he said, all his plans were disrupted. He hoped to test himself one by one, but he overestimated himself. In the fierce battle, he couldn't do as he wished. As for the thunder spell that he thought was unique to himself, it was simply ridiculous. Feng Xinglei knew it too. Chu Yang was somewhat frustrated at this point. So, he was even more upset. You my ass, is being God's chosen one that great? Chu Yang raised his fist and smashed it over. With a swoosh, Feng Xinglei turned around. He didn't pull away and sneered, Sin beast, do you think that because I use a bow and arrow my body is weak? Stupid, the strongest thing about my Feng Xinglei is my body. You are courting death. As he spoke, he had already charged towards Chu Yang. Just as he had said, this was his hidden trump card. He would suddenly launch an attack to kill his opponent. He usually used a bow and arrow, and his archery skills were astonishing. Usually, people would mistakenly think that his physical body was not strong enough, so he had no choice but to do so. In fact, his strongest point was his physical body. How could a physical body tempered by the violent power of lightning not be terrifying? Bang! Chu Yang was too lazy to pay attention to him. He smashed his fist down, and violent lightning swept out. Feng Xinglei's sharp senses told him that something was wrong. He didn't take it head-on, but dodged it instead. Streaks of lightning landed on his face. Although he had a certain degree of immunity against lightning, it still hurt. Kill! Chu Yang launched a series of ferocious attacks. Ninefold eruption of power, 135 dragons, and the thunder technique blasted out violently. Feng Xinglei hesitated and created two more of himself. However, Chu Yang also created a clone of himself. Feng Xinglei was caught off guard. The two of them had no choice but to try to fight Chu Yang head-on. One of them punched out with his right fist. Bang! The two fists collided. At the same time, it shook the void, accompanied by the sound of bones breaking. Feng Xinglei was frightened. His expression changed drastically. His right fist was about to explode. How terrifying was this punch? How shockingly powerful was it? It was actually stronger than his physical body. One had to know that the Sin Beast was only at Grotto Heaven 9th layer, but it was able to suppress him in his field of expertise. Feng Xinglei retreated in fear. However, the other party followed him like a shadow, and the two continued to clash. The battle of physical bodies was even more intense, and the collision of thunder technique was even more intense. Pooh! During the short exchange, Chu Yang's fist smashed Feng Xinglei's chest, causing him to scream miserably. The battle was already decided. Compared to the heavenly soul world, the myriad gods world could be said to be a type of body cultivator. Their physique was stronger than the heavenly soul world's experts, but it was only slightly stronger. Otherwise, the myriad gods world could compete with the heavenly soul world in terms of techniques, but their physique could crush the heavenly soul world completely. Chu Yang's original body cultivation was already very strong, and after completely strengthening the myriad gods world's martial arts system, he became even more terrifying. He could unleash 135 dragons of strength by 9 times. Just his strength alone was enough to kill a first-stage Nirvana realm martial artist in the heavenly spirit world. He could also be considered a hero in the myriad gods world. Even if Feng Xinglei's realm was much higher than his, it was useless. Thus, under the situation where the thunder technique cancelled each other out, there was no suspense in this battle. Chu Yang beat up the two wind thunder immortals until they were like a dead dog. Then, he dragged them into the Sin Hall. Everyone was silent. Who would have thought that this would be the result? A dignified God's chosen, who possessed wind and lightning divine arts, was beaten into a dead dog in the blink of an eye. Chapter 1546. The Sin Hall was still very dark. Master, what do you plan to do? The moment they entered the Sin Hall, the Ice Kuan's mouth went dry. As long as it thought about it, Chu Yang would seize the time rule that the sovereign had set up in the Sin Hall. Provoking the sovereign made its heart pound. It could clearly hear the sound of its own heartbeat. Such a thing was no different from courting death. Even 100 holes in the sky couldn't be described. Kuan, you're a saint. You're not far from the sovereign. Do you have to be like this? Can't you have some pride? Chu Yang heard the Ice Koan's nervous voice and couldn't help but tease it. The difference between a saint god and a sovereign wasn't that big, but the difference between the two was many thousands of miles. The Ice Koan didn't plan to be entangled in this matter. Master, just tell me what you plan to do. What else do I need to do? Chu Yang didn't care. Take it and run. He said it very casually. He really didn't take it to heart at all. The Ice Koan was scared half to death. Its whole body was covered in cold sweat. Without another word, it brought Chu Yang out of the Sin Hall. Then, it concealed itself and used a spatial technique. After they entered the space-time tunnel, the Ice Koan said anxiously, Master, that's a supreme sovereign. Can you be a little more careful? I beg you. It originally thought that Chu Yang had a foolproof plan, but this foolproof plan was actually like this. It really scared it. Take it and run? How could it be so simple? TCH, it's just a sovereign. What's the big deal? Chu Yang naturally saw the Ice Koan's caution, but he still curled his lips. Koan Koan, you're from the Koan Pung race. Can you not embarrass the Koan Pung race? After a pause, he touched his chin and smiled sinisterly. Wait, after I escape from his sight, I'm going to go to him and give him a letter or something. The Ice Koan was stunned. It was already like this, indirectly showing the supreme terror of a sovereign. However, Chu Yang still wanted to go to him and give him a letter. No one was courting death like this. That was a ruler, a supreme existence that everyone revered. Who would dare to do such a thing? If Chu Yang's words were to spread out, he would either be seen as a madman or beaten to death. The Ice Koan calmed down and sorted out its thoughts. It was ready to rescue its master who was so rotten that it couldn't be carved. Master, the ruler is omniscient and omnipotent. For example, right now, the Sovereign Lord has most likely already sensed everything we're talking about. So, not to mention showing off in front of the Sovereign, even if you hide to the ends of the earth, it's useless. No one can deceive the Sovereign, and no one can deceive the Sovereign. It then added, for example, Master. Although he hides his secrets well, in front of the ruler, Master has no secrets to speak of. The ruler can look into the past and see the future. It's easy for him to know everything about the Master. Is it that serious? Chu Yang's smile and suspicious tone made the Ice Koan's vision turn black. It had already said so much, but its sovereign was still stubborn and ignorant. Yes, the Ice Koan said with absolute certainty. The ruler, what is the ruler? The ruler of everything. Tisk. Chu Yang said disdainfully. Gods are the same. I can easily kill them with a punch. The so-called sovereign is amazing, but I believe he must have limitations. He is definitely not omnipotent. He added, the sovereign is ultimately a martial artist. It's just that the martial artist has reached an extremely high level. This meant to belittle the gods, but the gods of the gods were too different from the gods in Chu Yang's previous life. Therefore, from the gods to the so-called sovereign, he was not so respectful. Chapter 1547. Master, you're beyond saving. The Ice Koan didn't bother explaining. Instead, it sent the ruler's memories into Chu Yang's mind. #yen%#yen. Chu Yang immediately activated the 3-character classic and broke out in a cold sweat. Then, he angrily rebuked Ice Koan. Koan, the ruler is so terrifying. Is this so-called 100-time ratio not a small amount for him? That's bullshit. To the sovereign, he was nothing more than a pig in a pigsty, and a newborn piglet at that. The Ice Koan was speechless. So the crux of the problem was its own body. But then again, its previous words were indeed belittling the ruler, but it was in awe. After all, controlling time was easier said than done. Now that Chu Yang had a clearer understanding of the ruler, he was more cautious than ever. He rubbed his chin and recalled what he had just said. Just as he was about to speak, he suddenly saw Feng Xinglei's terrified expression. He looked at him as if he was looking at a monster. He raised his hand and knocked Feng Xinglei unconscious. This lunatic! How did I, Feng Xinglei, provoke such a lunatic? Before Feng Xinglei passed out, even the ruler dared to provoke him. Just now, he thought he was hallucinating. Kun. Chu Yang confirmed the first question. If I escape back to the heavenly soul world, will the ruler of the myriad god world be able to find me? Will he know anything about me? That's the plan? The Ice Kun thought for a moment. To the ruler, the myriad god world is a country. The abyss of sin is a fish tank. You can't escape the ruler's eyes. However, if Master escapes back to the heavenly soul world, that's a different story. Furthermore, Master has the Destiny Twins' martial spirit. If you're not in the myriad god world, the ruler won't be able to find you. Furthermore, with the heavenly soul world in the way, even if the ruler knows you're from there, he won't be able to do anything unless he can destroy the heavenly soul world. This was like comparing two countries. Chu Yang was a spy. He had infiltrated another country to carry out his mission. After escaping back to his own country, there should be no more problems. After pondering for a while, Chu Yang continued, "The second question is, I heard that the space-time channel of the Sky Academy only allows small fries to pass through. Is that true? If the sovereigns charged into the heavenly spirit world, he would be dead for sure." "Master, that's relative," Bing Kun explained. "For a ruler, there has never been such a thing as a space-time tunnel. Only small fries are allowed to enter, not big fries. The reason why the big shots can't enter is because of the battle between the heavenly spirit realm and the myriad god realm. Otherwise, how could a place like the abyss of sin have a ruler overseeing it? The battle between the heavenly spirit world and the gods world had created a restriction, but the supreme characters could not only break this restriction, they could also completely seal off the passage. In that case, there had to be a ruler overseeing the situation and resisting the unparalleled existences of the heavenly spirit world. Only then could the space-time passageway open. Chu Yang roughly understood that there must be a supreme character overseeing the heavenly spirit world in the Sky Academy. According to this, the reason for the formation of the seven-wheeled demon realm was found. The Darkness Demon Emperor and the Ruler of Light might have died because they fought over the control of the space-time channel. The Ice Kun was a saint. It shouldn't be able to travel through the space-time channel. However, the Ice Kun belonged to Chu Yang, which was equivalent to belonging to the heavenly spirit world. Secondly, it was born from the gods world. It was as if the Ice Kun was a double agent. Chapter 1548. Hee, then there's nothing to hesitate about. Chu Yang thought about it a few times in his mind and said with a smile, "It's still the same sentence. If I don't take it, I'll be punished. I'll do it." His words were loud and clear. Bing Kun felt that it was still unreliable and said hesitantly, "Master, don't you think about it again? Besides, after you make such a scene, I'm afraid you won't have the chance to enter the world of gods again. It's even more impossible to enter the starting ground." "Not to that extent." Chu Yang didn't waver at all. "At most, I'll just find another space-time passage. The rule of time and the rule of earth don't seem to be very important to you." Bing Kun didn't give up and insisted, "Master, let's take it another time. For example, after going to the starting ground, we can take it on the way back. It's safer this way." It wanted to delay and said a way that Chu Yang couldn't find a reason to refuse, but Chu Yang shook his head directly. Kun, have you heard of these 3 words? Chu Yang said and laughed. Then he said word by word, "When I was young. Back then, I was so-and-so." Bragging. Bing Kun instantly understood and was immediately defeated. Chu Yang was actually doing it for such a reason. Chu Yang admitted bluntly, "Yes, Kun, that's what I meant. Build a solid and strong foundation for bragging, so that I can brag when I'm old. When I recall the time when I was young, I want to ensure that I've been vigorous in my youth. Was youth a matter of courting death? Bing Kuan really couldn't understand Chu Yang's godlike logic. Kuan, think about it. Back then, there was such an opportunity to provoke the ruler, and it was only 0.01 millimeters away from me. Chu Yang was amused. He was also moved by his own words. If you missed it, wouldn't you say at that time, if the heavens give me another chance, I will definitely say to that girl, I'm willing. If I have to add a time limit, I hope it's 10,000 years. The Ice Kuan was completely at a loss for what to say. Its master was already spouting nonsense. It didn't matter whether the Ice Kuan understood or not. Chu Yang couldn't help but think of his past life. When he was young, he once had a crush on a girl. Because she was too beautiful, he didn't dare to approach her. He couldn't even speak beside her. It was a kind of humility, a kind of bitterness of a secret love. It was really hard to remember. Even now, Chu Yang still remembered it vividly. In his eyes, the sovereign lord was that girl, and he had mustered up the courage to approach her and woo her in order to steal her elemental laws of time and the elemental laws of earth. Facing that girl's inferiority was like facing the terror of a sovereign. The only difference was that if he failed to woo a girl, that was fine. It was just that he hadn't been enlightened at the time. However, the consequences of flirting with the Creator were severe. However, Chu Yang was still inclined to do this, as if he wanted to make up for the regrets of his previous life. In the end, he wanted to flirt even if he died, so he directly started to make preparations. Bing Kuan was powerless. It had to help and condense all kinds of formation seals for Chu Yang to use, so that Chu Yang could communicate more with the Creator. It even had to fly out of the beast abyss to make all kinds of arrangements. In an instant, Chu Yang was very busy. All 4 of his doppelgangers were mobilized. After everything was ready, his doppelganger in the god's world brought Feng Xinglei back to Sin Hall. Chapter 1549. Chu Yang returned to Sin Hall and ordered Feng Xinglei to split into 2. Feng Xinglei knew that he was being used as a spear to stab a ruler. How would he dare? However, he was beaten into 2 by Chu Yang. In the end, he was even stabbed by Chu Yang. Why bother? After that, Chu Yang's 2 clones each carried Feng Xinglei. The first one took the time rule in Sin Hall, and the second one took the gravity rule outside the assessment area. First, he took the time rule, then the earth rule. Then, he didn't stop for a second. He had the Ice Kuan carry him back to Heavenly Soul Realm. Rumble. Under Chu Yang's control, Feng Xinglei destroyed the ruler's settings. Then, he took out the time rule and handed it to Chu Yang. In an instant, Chu Yang's first clone flew out, not caring about Feng Xinglei's life or death. Almost at the same time, another loud sound came from Beast Abyss. Chu Yang's other clone also took the Earth rule. Then, the Ice Kuan, who was already prepared, carried Chu Yang back to Heavenly Soul Realm according to the plan. It's over. I'm dead for sure. After Feng Xinglei fell, he knew that he was going to die. There was no fear, only regret, endless regret. If he had another chance, he wouldn't provoke a madman like Chu Yang even if he was beaten to death. What's going on? What happened? Such a big commotion. What's going on? Could it be that Heavenly Soul Realm is attacking? That's impossible. How could Heavenly Soul Realm have such guts? The entire Beast Abyss shook. The sky and earth shook. The void seemed to be shattering. Time seemed to be flowing backward. It was a scene of doomsday. But all the creatures in Beast Abyss were incomparably frightened at this moment. They felt a kind of extreme terror. Every one of them couldn't help but tremble. They could also clearly feel a boundless and supreme pressure. It was getting stronger and stronger, and the thunder was getting clearer and clearer. Ruler! Without any words, an inexplicable existence seemed to tell every creature that the ruler was about to descend. They were terrified to the extreme, and all of them involuntarily knelt down in the direction of Sin Hall, trembling. This was an instinctive fear, a fear that came from the depths of his soul. Rumble! At this moment, the sea of lava in the Sin Palace Hall instantly disappeared, and turned into the ground. Sacred trees and divine flowers instantly grew, and mountains and lakes took shape in an instant. Majestic and dignified halls, as well as all kinds of buildings, appeared out of thin air. In the blink of an eye, the Hall of Sin seemed to transform into a paradise, a heavenly palace. It seemed to be the other shore of the Sea of Bitterness, the location of transcendence, a divine kingdom. Endless sacred light erupted, causing the entire beast pool to become incomparably sacred. In an instant it had turned into a sacred ground. The beast abyss was at the bottom of the abyss, but at this moment it seemed to be on the horizon. What was originally above it was the abyss. So this is a sovereign? How terrifying! Chu Yang couldn't help but shudder. However, he couldn't see anything anymore. He entered the space-time tunnel and soon returned to the heavenly spirit realm. Sima Jian, who had been standing guard, did not even have the time to rejoice when he saw Chu Yang before he was ordered to seal the space-time tunnel once again. This little bastard also has times when he's afraid. Sima Jian had never seen Chu Yang like this before. His heart thumped as he sensed the incomparably terrifying aura during the war between the two realms. He hurriedly sealed the tunnel. What kind of person did you provoke? A ruler! Chu Yang had just laughed dryly when Sima Jian fell to the ground with a plop. He looked at Chu Yang as if he had seen a ghost, but he couldn't say a single word. Provoking a ruler and still not dying? This little bastard was simply going to ascend to the heavens. How ridiculous! Chapter 1550. Spirit of the heavens, spirit of the earth, spirit of the heavens, spirit of the earth, spirit of the ruler is a fool. He definitely won't be able to find me. Chu Yang's heart was filled with apprehension. Sima Jian was speechless. How could someone be as ignorant as Chu Yang? He even dared to provoke the ruler of the God realm? What kind of person was he? What kind of existence was he? To be honest, Sima Jian wanted to open up Chu Yang's head to take a look. However, he discovered that, after a moment of apprehension, Chu Yang rubbed his chin and muttered to himself with incomparable eagerness, "I really want to see how the ruler is reacting right now. Has the beast abyss been turned upside down? Was there anyone more brazen than Chu Yang?" At this moment, the ruler had already descended to the center of Sin Hall. Feng Xinglei, who had been unable to move after being beaten up by Chu Yang, suddenly erupted with power as if he hadn't been injured at all. He struggled up from the ground and knelt down stiffly before prostrating himself on the ground. He didn't dare to say anything. After that, he discovered that he couldn't even move his thoughts. Feng Xinglei didn't need any explanation. The ruler already knew what had happened. He also knew that he had been wronged. Everything that had happened was instantly known to the ruler. It wasn't the ruler's true body. It was just a projection. The projection didn't do anything. However, in the hearts of all the creatures in the beast abyss, a voice seemed to emerge. Disrespectful, die. There were no words. The killing intent was formless. Everything was formless. Under such formlessness, the creatures in the beast abyss were even more terrified. All of them prostrated themselves on the ground and held their breaths. They didn't even dare to breathe. They couldn't move at all. The space and time in the beast abyss seemed to have come to a standstill at this moment. Everything seemed to have been frozen at that moment. Incantation of law. Logically speaking, anyone who showed disrespect to the Sovereign Lord should be dead by now. After the Sovereign Lord was done killing, he should have quickly left, and the terrifying pressure should have dissipated. But he didn't. Everything continued, and everything went on like this. Deep within their hearts, a voice seemed to speak. All of them could sense the astonishment of the Sovereign Lord. Within Sin Hall, Feng Xinglei didn't need to watch to know that the scenes of his battle with Chu Yang were playing out in front of the Sovereign Lord's eyes. Even the words and actions of that deranged Sovereign Lord were being played out. After that, the scene began to show where Chu Yang had escaped to, but at this time, there seemed to be an inexplicable force interfering. Suddenly, the scene became blurred, and nothing could be deduced anymore. Rumble. No one in the Beast Abyss knew what the ruler's reaction was, but they could clearly feel that the ground had sunk a few levels, and the sky seemed to have sunk a few levels. It was hard to imagine and indescribable. Other than fear and trembling, the living beings in the Beast Abyss could only tremble in fear. After an unknown amount of time, everything returned to normal, and everything in the world returned to normal. Soon after, everyone sensed a ball of light descending from the bottom of the Beast Abyss. Immediately, a voice sounded. "Congratulations, congratulations! The stingiest ruler in history has been born in the Beast Abyss. At such a glorious time, I and everyone in the Beast Abyss bathed in the supreme glory of the ruler. It's difficult to control our emotions, and we're extremely excited. Here, this humble one, Chuzwala, congratulates the stingiest ruler in history. I hope that the stingiest ruler in history will continue to work hard and reach the peak of stinginess forever. You'll create a new record of stinginess that will shine through the ages and last for eternity." Hum. In an instant, the minds of all the living beings in the Beast Abyss buzzed as if they had exploded. They were shocked to the point that their hearts and livers were about to explode. Their 3 souls and 7 spirits were about to be annihilated in an instant, and they would fall into an endless hell to suffer eternal suffering. The stingiest ruler in history. Chapter 1551. Mad, absolutely mad, completely mad. Only the word mad could describe it. What the creatures of Beast Abyss couldn't accept was that Chuzwala not only congratulated the ruler, but also encouraged him to reach the pinnacle of stinginess, setting a new precedent. The one at the end, Immortal, was even more so. The mockery was extremely vivid, and it was extremely sharp and pungent. They felt even more uneasy, even more panicked, and even more terrified. They cursed Chuzwala countless times in their hearts, wanting nothing more than to tear him to pieces. However, they could only think about it. Even the ruler dared to provoke Chuzwala, so how could they dare to provoke him? Impudent! All of the living beings present had the same thought. It seemed that the Sovereign Lord had been enraged. Thunder rumbled in the sky, echoing in all directions. The world shook and swayed as if it was about to flip over. Something seemed to be silently vanishing from the sky. Just as the world calmed down, a ball of light flew in from even farther above Beast Abyss and landed in the abyss. "Wow, so powerful! You won't even let us speak. Are you done yet? Even if we aren't killed by the ruler, we'll be scared to death by you." All the creatures in Beast Abyss wanted to curse at this time. They had never seen a madman like Chuzwala. Balls of light flew into Beast Abyss one after another, and voices echoed in the abyss. Black Demon Boar sends congratulations on the birth of the stingiest ruler in history. White Demon Boar sends congratulations. When the White Demon Boar in Beast Abyss heard this, it jumped up in fright, as if it wanted to jump out of the abyss. It was thoroughly frightened. This had nothing to do with the White Demon Boar at all. Congratulations from the centaurs of the Beast Abyss, wishing that the stingiest ruler in history will become even more stingy. Centaur Mixer, Centaur Mammoth sends congratulations on the birth of the ruler. The ruler is as stingy as the eye of a needle, but as magnanimous as a mustard seed. Rare and unparalleled. The Centaur and Mammoth seemed to have gone mad. Their minds were in complete chaos as they subconsciously shouted out the words that they had the deepest impression of Chu Yang. Double-edged sword. I'm Eleforce. The spectators felt a great deal of sympathy for these two. They had actually made it onto the list of sovereigns to congratulate them. That feeling was definitely incomparably exhilarating. Wind Thunder God races God's chosen, Feng Xinglei, while heavily injured, congratulates the stingiest ruler in history. Stinginess is the supreme virtue. Congratulations to the stingiest ruler in history. Feng Xinglei almost fainted. He was right next to the ruler. How could he cheat him like this? This was too immoral. After that, Chu Yang represented all the living beings in the beast abyss to send a congratulatory message, and it caused every single one of them to gnash their teeth with hatred. Their hatred was greater than the heavens, and their resentment was even deeper. However, this wasn't the end of it. Chu Yang's voice resounded throughout the beast abyss. The various races of the God realm have sent their congratulations. They are celebrating the birth of their first stingy sovereign. Chuzwilla has sent a message of congratulations. Your humble servant Chuzwilla, while trembling with fear, expresses his heartfelt congratulations and celebrates the stingy ruler's ascension to the throne. Trembling with fear? None of the living beings in the beast abyss could accept Chu Yang's modesty. They really couldn't see how Chu Yang was trembling with fear. Yet, he was trembling with fear as he sent the most awesome congratulatory message in history. However, what surprised them was that the ruler didn't seem to have any reaction. The ruler should have sensed these messages long ago, and he should have destroyed them long ago, but why didn't he do so? Perhaps there was only one person who could understand, Feng Xinglei. Chapter 1552. Sky Court, where the space-time passageway was sealed. Chu Yang's heart was itching like an ant on a hot pan. He wanted nothing more than to rush into Beast Abyss. How is it? Did the message I left take effect? Or was it completely destroyed? If it wasn't destroyed, how will the stingiest ruler in history react? Will he fly into a rage? Will he be filled with killing intent? Or will he just laugh it off? Is the deduction process correct or not? I really want to know. What should I do? Chu Yang scurried back and forth. He felt that something wonderful must have happened. Therefore, he didn't see it. He felt extremely regretful. It was as if he had done something beautiful but no one was cheering for him. The Ice Koan and Sima Jian suddenly had the urge to beat Chu Yang to death. That was a ruler. It was already a miracle that he was able to escape safely. This brat actually wanted to see the ruler's ugly state? Was he really that stupid? Koan Peng. In Sin Hall, the ruler spoke for the first time because of Chu Yang's message. This caused Feng Xinglei to tremble. This meant that the ruler had already set his heart on Chuzwilla. If he didn't die, he would obtain a supreme fortune. To be able to catch the ruler's attention and even bicker with him, even if Chuzwilla died, it would be worth it. The ruler quickly deduced many things about the Ice Koan. He even deduced that the Ice Koan had perished together with Kong Kuang during the war between the heavenly spirit world and the God's world. However, when he deduced that the Ice Koan was related to Chu Yang, everything became blurry. He couldn't deduce anything at all. The Ice Koan and Chu Yang both thought of this. The Ice Koan was from the God's world. If the ruler knew his identity, he might not think of the heavenly spirit world. There were gains and losses, but the advantages outweighed the disadvantages. At the very least, the Ice Koan was incomparably agreeable. In fact, he couldn't wait to do so. Whoosh! A cluster of dazzling light flew into the beast abyss from outside and revealed Chu Yang's figure. Soon after, a clear voice resounded in the beast abyss, causing the living beings in the beast abyss to wish they could immediately destroy the light figure. However, they didn't dare. A single thought from the sovereign was enough to completely obliterate that projection. If he hadn't done so, how could they possibly dare to act rashly? Dear audience of the God Realm, I, Chuzwilla, am currently at the beast abyss, reporting in real time. In a moment, I will be interviewing the winner of the most stingy ruler in history. I will ask him how he feels right now and how he is feeling right now. I will also invite him to give a speech about the award. Please look forward to it. Chu Yang made his opening remarks, as if he was looking at Sin Hall. This humble one is Chuzwala, surnamed Chu and given name Zwala. Generally speaking, I seek pleasure and make merry. This time, I'm very honored to have such an opportunity to interview such a big shot like you. If I get too excited later and act rashly, please forgive me. Was he really trying to provoke the sovereign to the very end? Who in the beast abyss was vexed? If that bastard Chuzwala was happy, then they would be in trouble. Perhaps they would be the ones to bear the wrath of the sovereign. It could be said that Chu Yang had offended everyone in Beast Abyss, becoming their public enemy. If they had the chance, they would definitely want to beat him up. Even if they killed him 1,000 times or 10,000 times, it still wouldn't be enough to vent their hatred. Let's get straight to the point, Chu Yang said. Most stingy ruler in history, may I ask if you can give a speech about the award now? Chapter 1553. There was no reply. Chu Yang continued, as far as I know, there are a few reasons why the Deity realm gave you such a precious award. First, you made your debut at the age of 0, worked hard every day at 10, had great ambitions at 20, worked hard at 30, and became stingy at 40. What the hell was that? Was he saying that the ruler had been determined to be a stingy person since he was young, and that being stingy at 40 was already a great achievement that no one could compare to? He really dared to mock and say such things. Second, the junior had the ability to eat a grape from you. You didn't say that the grape was sour. His courage is commendable. It's fine that you didn't encourage him, but you immediately became angry and wanted to kill him. This shows that you are narrow-minded and don't deserve this position. How could the people in Beast Abyss not understand this? However, these words did make some sense. What kind of person was the ruler? He actually showed up because of a junior and even showed killing intent. To be honest, he was indeed a little narrow-minded. After all, the Sin Hall was set up to test the people of Beast Abyss. Thus, even if he was unhappy and offended a little, as a supreme expert, such actions were indeed a little ugly. Third, the dismembered corpse in the moat last year was related to you. Last month, someone was beaten into a retard by you. The consequences of not allowing you to freeload were very serious because you couldn't save money on food. Fourth, you punched the Southern Mountain Home for the Elderly and kicked the Northern Sea Children's Hall. You stomped your foot in the pile of corpses, and those who refused to submit, stand up. No one dared to breathe. You won the title of Invincible effortlessly. Although you have unparalleled battle prowess, you are so stingy and stingy. The award belongs to none other than you. I, Chuzwala, will be the first to refuse to submit to anyone who dares to snatch it from you. Chu Yang spouted nonsense. Everyone's ears were ringing and their heads were spinning. They secretly prayed that the ruler wouldn't be angry. If the ruler was angry, Beast Abyss would probably be destroyed and everyone would die. The white demon boar, centaur, mammoth, and Feng Xinglei's feelings were needless to say. What did Chu Yang say about the ruler? Who would dare to ridicule the ruler like this? This was unprecedented. If news of this spread, the Deity realm would definitely be shaken. Wang. Beast Abyss suddenly sank down a level and was completely sealed. The air stopped flowing, and the wind seemed to be frozen in ice. All the living beings were unable to move, and their eyes were filled with endless fear. In an instant, the leisurely white clouds in the sky seemed to have sensed that something was happening. They stopped in their tracks and looked down at the endless abyss. The light shadow formed by Chu Yang's array seal was like the sun in a world of ice sculptures at this moment. It emitted a weak light, but no one could feel a trace of warmth. The heavens and the earth suddenly fell deathly silent. Junior, which clan are you from? How dare you be so presumptuous? The voice of the ruler resounded throughout the entire beast abyss for the first time. Accompanying his voice, the beast abyss seemed to have thawed as all the living beings regained their freedom. Everything returned to normal, but every single one of them was drenched in sweat as if they were at the bottom of an ice cave. The pain and torment of the Avicii hell continued without the slightest sign of stopping. Instead, it grew more and more intense. This was the part Chu Yang had the least confidence in. If he hadn't guessed the ruler's reaction, his answer would have been completely irrelevant. Although there was nothing wrong with treating the ruler as a human, the ruler wasn't an ordinary person. Thus, the probability of guessing correctly was very small. It was like looking for a needle in a haystack, but there was nothing he could do. Chu Yang could only guess and then make arrangements. In his mind, although he had the Ice Kuan set up the array formation outside Beast Abyss, it had probably been destroyed from the very beginning. There was no way to realize what he had imagined. Chapter 1554. Another orb of light flew into the Beast Abyss, followed by a clear voice. History's most stingy ruler, you've finally realized how extraordinary this young master is. You don't need to waste your time, I'm indeed tricking you. To be more precise, I'll trick whoever doesn't have the magnanimity. Only a narrow-minded person like you would show up. I'm very lucky that you appeared after I went through so much trouble a few times. You'll become my bragging rights in the future. What? All the creatures in the Beast Abyss were stunned. Chu Zhuiyue actually provoked the ruler for such a reason. Moreover, he was a repeat offender. In this way, the ruler would live up to his name as the most stingy ruler in history. If the ruler was fine, would they be fine? They were in despair. As for Feng Xinglei, after hearing this, he painfully closed his eyes. He had foolishly walked right into the barrel of the gun. What sin beast? Compared to the other party, he was the sin beast. If the ruler dared to provoke him without the slightest bit of fear, then there must be a supreme ruler behind Chu Zhuiyue for him to dare to do so. If Chu Yang knew what Feng Xinglei was thinking and that he had succeeded, he would probably wake up laughing in his dreams. Not only did he successfully provoke the ruler and make it a topic of conversation, he even made fun of the ruler. Compared to the ruler, Chu Yang was a lowly commoner, while the ruler was an emperor. The supreme emperor, the emperor that everyone revered, did everything as he thought, every step was done according to his plan. Absolutely, Chu Yang must have felt that he was the reincarnation of Zhuge Liang. His proud little tail would be raised high from now on. Henceforth, he would define himself as such. His IQ would be different from that of immortals. He would be different from ordinary people. He would be the most special one, he would be the smartest one. The self-satisfied person who looked down on everyone, who thought that he was smart, made the stupidest mistake of his previous life once again. The only pity was that Chu Yang wasn't present at all. It was very regrettable. He had set up the formation beforehand, and after the light image formed, he said passionately, "The most precious thing to a person is their life, and they only have one life." This was how a person's life should be spent. When he looked back on the past, he would not feel regret for wasting his time, nor would he feel shame for doing nothing. That way, when he was about to die, he could say that his life and all his experiences were dedicated to the most magnificent cause in the world, the lifelong struggle to become a clown. Right now, Chu Yang was wondering if the sovereign would fly into a rage of thunder and turn the world upside down upon hearing his lofty aspirations. Even so, if Chu Yang had known beforehand that the sovereign was doing this, he would still have done it. He vowed to be an interesting person. Otherwise, life would be too boring. Admit your mistake and I'll let bygones be bygones. Otherwise, it won't be that easy for me to find you. The sovereign's voice was completely emotionless. It was impossible to tell if he was happy, angry, sad, or happy. He was like an emotionless puppet, spitting out one word after another. It was so cold that one's soul felt like it was about to shatter. How boring! It's not an exaggeration to say that you're stingy. It's just a joke and you're like this. TSK. Chu Yang snorted disdainfully. Roar! Howling, he said, are the people of the god world all so boring? How can they not laugh at the stingiest enemy of the sovereign lord? What a disappointment! Humph! The sovereign snorted coldly. With a thought, Chu Yang vanished without a trace. The Ice Koan didn't know that the formations outside the beast abyss had all been destroyed. However, the sovereign was still aware of Chu Yang's message. What's so great about provoking a single sovereign? Provoking multiple sovereigns? That's something no one can compare to. If you go out and brag, no one will believe you. That's something. It's a big problem if others don't believe me. I'll have to trouble the stingiest sovereign in history to set up an obstacle for me. Or perhaps you've already set up a net for me to walk right into. Don't worry, I won't destroy it, and I won't let anyone else destroy it. After all, this is proof of my awesomeness. Also, it would be best if you could add my name to the list. That way, when no one believes me when I brag, I'll bring them here and have them worship me. They'll call me Chu Zhuolu, divine and mighty, and have as long a lifespan as the heavens. Chapter 1555. The creatures of Beast Abyss didn't know when the ruler had left, but they knew that many people had rushed over. The sky was densely packed with people. In the blink of an eye, there was a flurry of discussion and clamor. It was as if millions of sparrows were chirping, and there were even many people in the sky asking questions. Someone just provoked the absolute beginning ruler. Is this true? Who is it? Who dares to provoke even a sovereign? That person is called Chu Zhuolu, right? This person is really bold. Bold is enough to describe him? This is simply deranged. Endless questions came, so much so that the creatures of Beast Abyss felt that if they were the ruler, they would probably vomit blood from anger. Especially since they were the most stingy ruler in history. What would it be like to have such a humiliating title on the absolute beginning ruler? Unimaginable. No one in Beast Abyss answered because this involved a ruler. Who would have the guts to gossip? Those who asked didn't even dare to say that the ruler was the most stingy ruler in history, so how would they dare? As for how the news was sent out, there were only two possibilities. Either it was that Chu Zhuolu, or it was the absolute beginning ruler's opponent. Such news naturally spread quickly, and it spread to every corner of the god realm at the fastest speed. This was because this was unprecedented. Someone actually dared to provoke a ruler like this. Chu Yang didn't care about the god realm situation, nor did he care that this matter hadn't caused a commotion. What he cared about was what had happened in the end. Had he succeeded? After waiting for a day, Chu Yang couldn't hold back anymore. He said to Sima Jian, "Uncle, open the seal. I'll go down and take a look." Slap. Sima Jian glared at Chu Yang and gave him a slap on the back of his head. He really couldn't let others have peace of mind. "Uncle, the competition between the 6 academies will begin in a month." Chu Yang was resentful. He then found an excuse and said, "Look at my current cultivation. If I can't raise it, won't I be done for? Uncle, I need to enter the starting ground of the god realm and raise my cultivation to the transcendence realm." He was a little regretful that he had hidden the Ice Koan too well. One sentence from the Ice Koan was worth billions of sentences from him. However, the Ice Koan did not agree with Chu Yang. It had the same idea as Sima Jian. There must be a limit to courting death. If Parrot and the others were here, it would be even more lively. Then I might as well not participate in this bullshit tournament of the 6 academies. Sima Jian glared at Chu Yang, his heart filled with hatred as he gritted his teeth. "Uncle, this time I'm talking to you about something serious." Chu Yang changed his strategy and spoke of his difficulties. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, wind and thunder, light and darkness, as well as space and time. If you can't enter the starting ground and make your own deductions. He paused and said to Sima Jian, "Uncle, don't you think so? Am I going to be stuck below the transcendence realm for the rest of my life?" Don't listen to his nonsense. In 8 years, he's more or less finished his deductions. I can't agree, I definitely can't agree. The ice coin roared in its heart, but that was all it could do. This was the first time its master had used a soul imprint to control it. Sima Jian frowned and was a little shaken. This was indeed too difficult. Chu Yang took advantage of Sima Jian's ignorance and added fuel to the fire. "Uncle, I provoked the ruler because of the starting ground. I've already succeeded. If I don't go, won't all my previous efforts be wasted?" However, this was not enough. Chu Yang underestimated Sima Jian's fear of the ruler. He said again, "Uncle, open the seal and I'll send a clone down. If nothing happens, then there shouldn't be a problem." Sima Jian nodded and felt that Chu Yang was a little more normal. However, he hesitated for a long time before opening the seal. When Chu Yang's heaven doppelganger entered the spacetime passageway, he felt a little nervous. If the ruler knew that he was from the heavenly spirit world, then the situation would be far worse than he thought. His clone would be like a wolf in a tiger's den. He might not even be able to survive. His main body could feel everything that was going on with his clone. If that happened, then it would be terrible. Spirit of the sky, spirit of the earth. Chu Yang muttered to himself as he carefully made his way toward the divine realm. Every step he took was as if he was treading on thin ice. Chapter 1556. At the other end of the space-time passageway, Chu Yang was like a mouse. He stood at the mouth of the mouse hole, vigilantly observing his surroundings. After confirming that there was no danger, he scurried out for a short distance and scurried back very quickly. After doing this a few times, Chu Yang calmed down and carefully moved around the beast abyss. The further he went, the more he found nothing out of the ordinary. Seems like there shouldn't be any problems. Chu Yang changed his appearance and continued moving forward. Sin Hall was still there, but the sea of lava had disappeared, turning into a vast plain. There were even many plants and towering trees. The sea of lava had turned into a primitive forest. Hiss! Chu Yang couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. This must be caused by the sovereign. After all these changes, it can't be reversed. This was the first time he saw the tip of the iceberg of the sovereign's power. With a thought, he could change everything. No wonder Uncle Sima and Kuan were like that. I'm really like a newborn calf that's not afraid of tigers. Then, he laughed cheekily, hee, this time, this young master is really scared. Who can compare to me? Chu Yang quickly went to find out what had happened, but he didn't ask. After all, who in the beast abyss didn't know what had happened? Unintentionally, he saw the centaur. His body immediately expanded and he put his arm around the centaur's shoulder. After he revealed his identity, the centaur fell to the ground like a collapsing building and looked at Chu Yang in fear. Chu Yang was very satisfied. Then, he forced the centaur to tell him the truth. After learning the relevant information, he took the centaur's soul imprint and returned to the heavenly soul world. Kid, what's the situation down there? Sima Jian asked. Seeing that Chu Yang's clone had returned safe and sound, his worried heart also calmed down. Chu Yang's clone returned to his original body and laughed wildly. Watha, this young master is now in the sky. 9 heavens and 10 earths, 8 desolates and 6 directions, only I am supreme. Sima Jian slapped him on the head. He was curious about the sovereign's reaction and asked, "What's the situation like? Will the sovereign forgive me?" Bullshit. Chu Yang said disdainfully. That sovereign was extremely narrow-minded. As soon as he arrived, he wanted to beat me up. However, he was played around with by the wise me. In the end, he flew into a rage out of humiliation and destroyed all the formations this young master left behind. Sima Jian was completely convinced that Chu Yang was a joker. He had toyed with a sovereign, and yet he was completely unharmed. There was no justice in this world. From his point of view, Chu Yang was just a rat who didn't understand the majesty of the emperor. He saw that the emperor's dragon robe was beautiful and thought that he had bitten off a piece of food. This infuriated the emperor and caused him to wantonly hunt rats in the palace. Chu Yang, this rat, was very cunning. Not only did he escape and evade capture, he even pooped everywhere. In imperial entertainment's soup, in his bed, on his desk, on his seat. Amazing. This was truly amazing. Sima Jian could only say that Chu Yang was the #1 mouse in the world. Uncle, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. This young master is going to go to the deity's world and show off his might. Chu Yang said. I think this sovereign is petty and also very concerned about his face. If he can't find me, he probably won't make a move. However, he will definitely send some juniors to cause trouble for me. I have to go and beat the crap out of the juniors he sent. Chapter 1557. Back in the beast pool, Bing Kun confirmed that there was no problem. He said with lingering fear, Master, we shouldn't play with our lives like this. Chu Yang nodded. He had already witnessed the terror of a ruler. There were many factors that contributed to his successful escape this time, and his luck could be said to be explosively good. If his luck had been a bit worse, he would have really died this time. Kun, release Beiji and capture the white demon pig. We're going to the starting ground. As soon as Bing Kun released Zhu Beiji immediately protested. Little saint, if you want pork to taste good, you can't torture a pig. Give it what it needs to eat and drink. Beiji, you're itching for a beating, aren't you? Chu Yang glared at him. In the Sin Hall, there was a month in the outside world. 8 of those months, this pig had also enjoyed a good life. He actually accused him of not feeding the pig. Tsk. Zhu Beiji snorted. I only spent 8 years in prison. Chu Yang was stunned. The extra time was so much for Zhu Beiji? He suddenly envied this pig. He had no desires. He ate and slept and ate again when he woke up. What a comfortable life. Beiji, your comfortable pig life makes my life seem bumpy. I want to kill you to erase my bumpy life so that I won't feel sad. This was a crime. Zhu Beiji jumped in fright and quickly cried, Whoa, little saint, my pig life is actually very miserable. In order to make my pork taste better, I racked my brains for 8 years and finally made some progress. Chu Yang stared at this pig with wide eyes. The level of shamelessness was far higher than his. Little saint, just you wait. With a whoosh, Zhu Beiji rushed out and caught a rabbit. Then, he shot a ball of black light into the rabbit and roasted it. After tasting it, Bing Kun almost bit off his tongue. Chu Yang also took a bite and was immediately stunned. It's even more delicious than the pork of the divine-level black demon pig. Zhu Beiji was very proud of himself. Little saint, this is the result of me, Beiji, following your instructions and painstaking efforts. Therefore, the little saint should still give the pigs what they deserve. For example, the purple-eyed unicorn, scarlet wolf, and so on. Even if you give them to magma, they won't be able to grow pork, right? What a teachable child. You still remember what happened 8 years ago so clearly. Chu Yang was truly convinced by this pig. After such a long time, he was still thinking about it. He was definitely a narrow-minded person. In addition, this pig was truly amazing. In order to not have its flesh cut, it actually came up with such a method. Bing Kun was also amazed by Zhu Beiji's words. Beiji, it's not good to be too narrow-minded. I don't know, but the stingy ruler has been angered half to death by Master. You have to change that. What? The hegemon? And the stingy hegemon had angered the hegemon half to death? Zhu Beiji was dumbfounded. His face was black, and his eyes were filled with complicated emotions as he looked at the Bing Kuan and Chu Yang. After a moment of disbelief, he could not believe it at all. What kind of joke was this? Teasing the hegemon? Were you bullying a pig? If you dared to tease the hegemon, it didn't matter if you were a little saint or a little saint. All of you would die. Believe me. The Bing Kuan pointed at the sea of magma. Look over there. What has it become? Zhu Beiji was naturally very familiar with the terrain of Beast Abyss. He looked over and cried out, "How did the sea of magma turn into a forest?" With a plop, he dropped to his knees, trembling. It was true. It was actually true. Chapter 1558. Oh my God! Zhu Beiji shouted in his mind. I was wondering why I felt a terrifying aura in the old Popsicle's grotto heaven. Even the old Popsicle was trembling. Looks like this pork eater is up to something big. He was sweating. How dare you? Chu Yang was very pleased with himself. He looked at Zhu Beiji in disdain and said, "As a pig raised by my family, you're embarrassing me. I think it's better to kill you." Don't. Zhu Beiji immediately hugged Chu Yang's leg. He raised his black face and said with a smile, "Little Saint God, Beiji is determined to work hard for the rest of his life to make pork tastier. Please give me a chance." Wow. He was shouting in his mind, "I've hugged a super thigh this time. Who will dare to eat me in the future?" Go away. Chu Yang was tired of Zhu Beiji's shamelessness. He kicked him away and said, "Hurry up. Where's the white demon pig? I have to go out and show off. I can't stay here any longer. If you waste any more time, I'll kill you directly." "Little Saint, it's just a white demon pig. How can I trouble you?" Zhu Beiji was full of confidence. He rolled up his sleeves and patted his chest, saying, "Little Saint, watch me. I'll go and catch the white demon pig for you now." Half an hour later, Chu Yang and the Ice Kuan saw Zhu Beiji, who was full of confidence, dragging a dead white pig back. Half of his face was smashed and bloody. There was a bloody hole in his chest, and one of his arms was chopped off. He looked very miserable. "Beiji, I'm proud of your confidence." Chu Yang was completely convinced by Zhu Beiji. Why did he try to show off when he didn't have the ability? "Thank you for your praise, little saint." Although Zhu Beiji was in a miserable state, he was still smiling like a blooming flower. However, miraculously, he didn't say anything else. Instead, he revealed a sorrowful expression and said, "This bastard slaughtered my entire family. Today, I've finally gotten my revenge. Thank you, little saint." After saying that, the black demon pig respectfully kowtowed 3 times to Chu Yang. Chu Yang almost couldn't believe that this was Zhu Beiji. He felt even more uncomfortable. As for whether such a tragic story was true or not, he couldn't be sure. It was very likely that Zhu Beiji was worried that Chu Yang would raise another white demon pig to compete with him, so he killed the white demon pig in advance. "Alright, you haven't wasted the past 8 years. Go and treat your injuries." Chu Yang was just a black-bellied person. He did not raise any questions, nor did he show any signs of suspicion. Still kneeling on the ground, Zhu Beiji grinned from ear to ear. "Little saint, have you not thought of anything else?" "I do." As expected of the little saint deity, the black demon boar kowtowed 3 more times before disappearing into the cave of the Ice Kuan. "Damn it, I'm afraid I can't directly cut a live pig and eat pork in the future," the Ice Kuan cursed. Fortunately, the black demon boar had made an outstanding contribution to the advancement of pork. After that, Chu Yang was about to leave the Beast Abyss. To leave the Beast Abyss, he had to go through the path of atonement. Only by climbing up with his own strength could he get rid of the Beast Abyss. Otherwise, he could only reach the Sage Realm like the Ice Kuan. Moving forward rapidly, Chu Yang didn't know how long it took him to enter the boundless black mist. The mist was very thick and he couldn't see anything. He could only rely on his divine sense. After a long time, he finally reached the end. Then, he saw a path that went straight to the sky. It was almost 90 degrees. It didn't go up the cliff. Instead, it went straight up into the clouds like a pillar falling from above. The Path of Atonement. It seemed like it could be called the Path of Atonement. If one stepped on it, they could really ascend to the heavenly palace. At this moment, many creatures in the Beast Abyss were trying to climb the Path of Atonement to get rid of the Beast Abyss. There were even more creatures gathered below. Chapter 1559. Kuan, if I want to climb up, I need to fulfill some conditions. Chu Yang clasped his hands behind his back and did not take action immediately. He used the celestial demon walking technique to change his appearance, so he was not afraid of being recognized. Close to the talent of a god's chosen one. Ice Kuan said after a pause, Master, you have no pressure at all. As for this heavenly road, it's all arranged by a formation. If you don't want to spend the effort, you can just crack it directly. Chu Yang released his mental strength. As Ice Kuan said, he immediately saw dense formation seals, which were like stars in the starry sky. They were arranged according to the terrain of the Beast Abyss, forming an extremely huge formation. The terrain was extremely majestic, and the formation was also extremely huge. However, it was not a sage-level formation, so it was not difficult for Chu Yang to crack it. After all, he was now a level 9 formation master, so he could arrange the entire formation of the heavenly road. Then I'll just take it as practicing the formation. Immediately, he walked straight toward the heavenly road. The surrounding creatures knew that another challenger had come, so they all made way, and their eyes fell on him. Ah! Suddenly, a few screams were heard, and a creature who tried to climb up fell down. His flesh and blood splattered, and he directly fell into a pile of minced meat. After that, screams were heard one after another. Most of the creatures on the heavenly road could not break through after climbing halfway up and fell to their death. Failing the challenge meant death, which was extremely cold and cruel. Under the heavenly road, there was a dead silence in an instant. There was no sound at all, and no one dared to challenge anymore. It was difficult, too difficult. Chu Yang narrowed his eyes slightly, but he did not care too much. Since Wind Thunder dared to come down from above, he would definitely be able to go up again. Wind Thunder could do that, of course. Suddenly, he thought, what will it be like if all the creatures in the Beast Abyss are gone? In an instant, Chu Yang smiled. He had destroyed the arrangement of the divine realms, released the cannon fodder, and let all the creatures in the Beast Abyss go. He was afraid that some people in the divine realms would be unhappy. When the war of the two realms broke out, the pressure on the Sky Academy should be much less, and the situation would be completely different. Let's do it this way, although I don't like the Sky Academy. He made up his mind and then said to everyone, Do you want to go up? Just follow me. Those who believe in me will live forever. At the same time, I ask you to remember this marshal's name, Chu Chi-nan. The Ice Kuan was speechless. It was obvious that its master was up to something again. Boom! The living beings in the surroundings instantly went into an uproar. They never thought that someone would actually dare to speak such arrogant words. All of them looked at Chu Yang in astonishment. It was already extremely difficult for a single person to climb up, not to mention bringing everyone up with him. Perhaps even a god's chosen to go to. Immediately, many living beings couldn't help but size up Chu Yang. Every gaze was burning and extremely sharp, as if they wanted to see through him. However, they discovered that Chu Yang was only at the 9th level of the Essence Soul Realm. It was already a miracle for a 9th level Primordial Spirit Realm cultivator to be able to reach the top, let alone bring others up with him. To ridicule of thought he. Does he think he's a God's chosen one? He's ridiculous. Even a God's chosen one doesn't have such ability. How dare he say such arrogant words? What's the point of saying so much? When he falls from the heavenly road and is in midair, we'll mock him together. Yes, don't wait for him to fall to his death. Otherwise, he won't hear our ridicule. Ha ha! Chapter 1560. Little horse, you have good eyesight. I'll give you a thumbs up. Chu Yang smiled. Little horse. The centaur. He was really vexed. Although master was master, couldn't he give him a slightly more impressive name? There were still some who were dissatisfied with him and wanted to retort, but they were violently beaten up by the centaur until they were half dead. Don't you know shit? Do you know who this master is? He even dares to provoke the sovereign. He's lawless, immoral, and has no bottom line. You dare to mock such a wicked thing? Are you tired of living? Little horse, your performance is not bad, right? Chu Yang looked at the centaur and said, Go, bring all your people here. Don't say I didn't warn you. The centaur was stunned, then suddenly came to his senses and flew away. In a short while, it was as if a herd of wild horses had arrived. The sky was filled with dust and rumbling sounds, causing all the creatures present to be stunned. Then, they looked at the centaur in disbelief, then looked at Chu Yang in astonishment, thinking, Does this Chu Qiannan really have this ability? Follow closely. Yes. The centaur was incomparably respectful. Chu Yang turned around and faced the heavenly road. Then, the formation seals on his body flew out and disappeared into the heavenly road. With a rumbling sound, the heavenly road shook and the fog surged. Then, 3 stone steps appeared and went up the void. Formation master, he's a formation master. If he can break all the way up, then it really won't be arrogant. Then let's wait and see. Cries of surprise sounded out. All the creatures present were shocked by Chu Yang. They immediately stared at Chu Yang without turning their eyes. Chu Yang stepped onto the step. As he walked forward, formation seals flew out again and disappeared into the heavenly road. One step after another appeared, paving a stone path into the sky. With the appearance of each step, the fog in front of them was dispersed. It was as if the clouds were parted to see the sun. The centaur knew that Chu Yang was two-faced. Just now, someone had mocked him, so there was definitely no hope. Later on, there would definitely be restrictions to stop these people. Therefore, he was the first to take the lead and step onto the stairs, following closely behind Chu Yang. However, his clansmen were hesitant. He was anxious, but there was nothing he could do. Some people even mocked him. Is this centaur the stupidest centaur in the beast abyss? Not just the stupidest, but the stupidest centaur in history. It's best not to use such words in history. Otherwise, it might bring about a disaster. That's right, we have to be cautious about this. That Chuzwala really screwed us over. Suddenly, someone said, This arrogant guy is called Chu Kunnan. His surname is also Chu. Could he be that Chuzwala? Are you stupid? There are many people with the surname Chu in the human race. Even though Chuzwala can change his name and appearance, he has just angered a ruler. How could he appear at this time? You all are overthinking things. Indeed, although Chuzwala's guts are big, he is definitely not a fool. Hearing the discussions, the centaur sneered in his heart. You are the fools. You are the biggest fools in history? Who is Chuzwala? If he dares to provoke a ruler, why doesn't he dare to appear at this time? Bullying fools like you all is a humiliation. Clansmen, if you believe in me, Ma Zetian, then follow me closely. You only have one chance. The centaur roared. If you miss it and don't seize the opportunity, don't say that I don't care about my clan. After saying this, he followed closely behind Chu Yang. As for whether or not Chu Yang could make it, was there any doubt? A mere heavenly path was nothing compared to a dog's fart for someone who could survive after angering a ruler. Unfortunately, he couldn't say it out loud. Ma Zetian believed those idiots. If they knew that Chu Yang was that extremely daring and reckless Chuzwala who didn't even put a ruler in his eyes, they would have immediately swallowed the words that he had just said. Then, they would have fought and followed behind him. In the end, only 3 centaurs followed behind Ma Zetian. Ma Zetian, do you think I, Ma Zetian, am a fool? The centaur whose teeth had been beaten out by Ma Zetian sneered. Unfortunately, I can't take revenge, but I can watch you fall to the ground and become a pile of rotten meat. What a fool. If that thing can go up in the end, we'll just follow. In any case, he went up by breaking the formation. Once the formation is broken, how can it be difficult for us? Who would go up at this time? Only fools would go up at this time. Many people mocked and sneered. Even Ma Zetian's 3 clansmen were shaken. After all, this was the truth. Ma Zetian sneered. If you 3 think they are right, then go down. Chapter 1561. The Beast Abyss Heavenly Road was incomparably difficult, but it was like child's play to Chu Yang. Ma Zetian saw him walking calmly as formation seals flew out continuously. Steps appeared one by one, and as soon as he stepped on the void, the steps would immediately appear. As expected of someone who dares to challenge a ruler. Although Ma Zetian was in disbelief, he had no choice but to believe it. Who would have thought that the heavenly road of forgiveness that had stumped almost all living beings in the Beast Abyss could be solved so easily? In a short while, Chu Yang had reached the halfway point of the heavenly road. All the challengers here had been sent flying by the heavenly road, fell down, and couldn't be more dead. Immediately, all the living beings below looked at Chu Yang without blinking as they discussed among themselves. The 3 clansmen behind Ma Zetian couldn't help but tremble. Ma Zetian, I'll be able to see you turn into a pile of rotten meat very soon, ha ha. Ma Yunfei laughed loudly. Chu Yang's footsteps came to a halt. He turned his head and glanced downwards. He had changed his mind now. Although it was normal for these people to be suspicious, it was natural for them to be suspicious, but he just couldn't help it. I'll give you all one more chance. I'm halfway through, and if you're still chattering down there, I'll let you all explode. Under the gazes of everyone below, formation seals flew out, and steps appeared. Chu Yang walked straight up. Boom, there was an uproar below, but there were still doubts and mockery, but Chu Yang was too lazy to care. He quickened his pace, and soon reached 3/4 of the heavenly road. At this time, he was extremely high up, and he could no longer hear the voices below, nor could he see anything. He was like a warrior exploring the path alone, and the world was silent. The God realm did set up this heavenly road of forgiveness for some reason. Chu Yang increased his speed, and at this time, there was already an explosion below. What's going on? Why did the steps of the heavenly road disappear? Did that arrogant Chu Kunin and stupid Ma Zetian both die? If they failed, they would definitely fall down and turn into a pile of rotten meat, but they didn't. Then what is this all about? Chu Yang couldn't see the people below, and naturally, the people below couldn't see Chu Yang either. However, everyone below could clearly see a line of words that appeared on the heavenly road. Even after seeing you off for 1,000 miles, we still have to part in the end. Many thanks to everyone for sending us off. Everyone can return now because I'm not happy. Boom. The creatures of Beast Abyss immediately exploded. They understood the reason, immediately wailing in all directions. Chu Kunin, I was wrong. Please spare me this once. Will my cheap mouth die if I don't taunt people? You still have the face to say that? Who was it that mocked so much just now? If you dare to stand out, I'll beat you to death. Who's an idiot? Is Ma Zetian an idiot? We are all idiot. In just a short period of time, the battle below became a scene of endless curses. Ma Yunfei stared blankly at the straight heavens road, then began to tremble. Just now Ma Zetian had beaten him up, but in reality, he was saving him. The centaurs were all dumbfounded. They were all dumbfounded. Who was the idiot? Who was the idiot? Just now, a chance to escape the fate of being cannon fodder was placed in front of them, but they actually missed it due to their cleverness. Soon after, the centaurs began to complain, but what was the use? At this moment, Chu Yang had completely walked out of the beast abyss. Immediately, with a swoosh, a graceful figure quickly flew over. As a fragrant wind drifted, a woman wearing purple clothes appeared in front of Chu Yang like a purple flower blooming in front of Chu Yang. White demon boar? The moment the woman appeared, a divine light burst out from her eyes and she immediately glared over. Drifting couldn't do this either. Chu Yang retorted, "White so. Black demon boar? Black so. Goddess." The woman was so angry that her nose became crooked as she corrected him. Chapter 1562. A whirlpool of clouds, a shuttle of jade, a light blouse, a thin gauze, and a pair of conches. Her smile was like a blooming flower, and her voice was melodious. The woman was extremely beautiful, and her aura was also incomparably pure and holy. However, this kind of holy aura was slightly inconsistent with the other auras on her body. She had a wild nature, which made her seem incomparably playful. Her lively eyes made her seem like a lively little bunny. 9th tier medium divine realm cultivation base. Looking at it, a crescent moon covered by clouds appeared in Chu Yang's spiritual world. Chu Yang was sizing her up, and she was also sizing up Chu Yang. She stood there proudly, and suddenly, 2 rays of silver light shot out from her eyes. Suddenly, she looked very extraordinary, and a surge of great Tao aura surged out and shrouded her. She couldn't see through Chu Yang. Sin Beast. 2 crescent moons appeared in the woman's beautiful eyes, one bright and one dark. Her body was flowing with mercury-like moonlight. Her whole body was glowing, but the light was incomparably soft. Sin Pig. Chu Yang rolled his eyes. Anyone who came up from the beast abyss must be a sin beast. The woman instantly gritted her teeth. She asked a very normal question, but the sin beast actually called her a pig and didn't cooperate. However, she didn't know that Chu Yang had already changed to a less lethal one. If it weren't for the fact that the Sin Sow had the same voice as the sleeping sow, she would not only be a pig, but also a sow. In between bickering with the woman, Chu Yang looked at the vast world behind the woman. The spiritual energy was dense, the fog was dense, ancient trees towered into the sky, and endless mountains. From time to time, martial artists would cross the sky. The cries of birds and the roars of beasts would also be heard from time to time in the forest. "Did you climb up here?" The woman was trying to prove that she wasn't being unreasonable. She had reason and evidence. Chu Yang rolled his eyes again. "You walked with your feet." The woman glared at him, revealing a fierce look, but then she suddenly smiled playfully. Coming up from the beast abyss, of course, one had to climb up. Naturally, one had to walk with their feet. There was nothing wrong with the Sin Beast's answer. "I was planning to go down and catch the black demon boar and white demon boar. I didn't expect you to deliver yourself to me." The woman smiled and said, "You are really lucky to be able to become this goddess's delicacy. I have decided to eat you tonight." "Monster?" Chu Yang asked with wide eyes. "I eat pigs, not humans, so I'm not a demon." Her beautiful eyes were smiling as divine light blossomed from her face. "What do you have to prove that you're not a black demon pig?" The white demon pig was white. The woman was full of ridicule as she inwardly cursed Chu Yang for being ugly and black. "Tisk!" Chu Yang scoffed. "How can you prove that you're not a so demon? If you dare to say that again, I don't mind teaching you a lesson. Deal with me." Chu Yang crooked his finger at her. Come here and let me spank you. Interesting. Hearing this, the woman smiled even more brightly. I've decided to capture you and make you my mount. Mount? When Chu Yang heard this, a wicked smile immediately appeared on his face. Are you sure you want to take me as your mount? The woman frowned slightly as she felt that something was amiss. Chu Yang circled around her a few times, and then his smile became even more eerie. You look like you're easy to ride. I also want to take you as my mount. Something was wrong. But what was it? The woman raised her eyebrows. In her beautiful and lively eyes, the moonlight became even more dazzling, and her aura instantly became much more powerful. Capture this sin beast. You'll know when you spank him later. Her eerie smile didn't fade. Instead, it became even more pronounced. Her long hair danced in the wind, and with a whoosh, her graceful and slender body instantly closed in on Chu Yang. So much so that he could clearly see her bright and moist red lips, and wisps of delicate fragrance flowed into his nose. Are you sure? She asked threateningly. You're tuning into the Phoenix Nights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.